Live, guys.
Go on, mate.
That's true.
Hello and welcome to the Sunday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID, Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight we'll be doing a post-match discussion of the game today, and we'll be talking about the Europa League Cup draw as well, and there's some other Spurs news we have as well. Tonight we've got a great panel for you. There's still a couple of guests that might show. So we'll move straight into it. I'll start with the bottom row first. Alan, how are you?
Oh, I wish I could say I was doing better. But doing well this weekend. I just wish I was doing better, unfortunately.
Yeah.
How are you, mate? All right?
Yeah, I'm actually doing all right. I'm disappointed, but not really surprised. So I'm not going to go on another 10-minute rant about the transfer window again because I've wasted that time already. But yeah, just Spurs as usual, same tactics and the same results. So that's how I see it.
Dan, how are you? All right?
Same Spurs, different day. Nothing new. Nothing unexpected happened. Apart from that, mate, safe as houses.
And we welcome Ian, a new debutant on Spurs Diehards. Ian, how are you?
Nice to be on. Great opening to tonight's podcast.
Oh, we've got great music, mate. Yeah.
No, I love that opening. Fantastic.
And Phil's becoming a bit of a regular with us as well. Phil, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Hope everyone's well on the panel. Looking forward to getting into it.
And we have Mark from Where the Cider Apples Grow. Mod Mark, how are you, mate?
It's been better. It's just I had to watch the football earlier, but thankfully, a thunderstorm interrupted some of it.
All right. And we have Queen Ellie Hoiberg Bentacore Bergval with us. Right. Admin on one of our fellow admins. How are you?
I was doing well until Spurs let in that last goal. What a suicidal goal to let in. And it's nothing new, like Dan said. It's same Spurs, same tactics, same result. But at least we didn't lose 4-0 this time.
Right.
I suppose that's positive.
All six.
Right. We have a regular way we're doing this. We're quite structured here. So what we normally do is we go for the guests, then the mods, then the admins in that order of things. But with games, we discuss the lineup first, what people think of the lineup. Then we discuss the first half, the second half, substitutions.
Comments, Adrian. Comments. There is someone here.
Yeah, all right. All right.
I know I've got to keep nagging you.
All right, hang on, let me finish. Don't interrupt.
Sorry.
And then obviously people give their general consensus of what they thought overall, and like we do the team performance, man of the match, and Ange as well, right? So that's what we'll do, and then we'll see how we go with that. Before we discuss the Europa League Cup draw and our opponents, because I've got all the dates now and I've got all the situations with the teams that we're playing in between these draws as well, right? So as Dan is only going to be with us a short while, I'll start with you, Dan. The lineup, as you can see below, what you had with the lineup? Did you expect any different players to start? Or?
Well, I found it weird that he started Kulusevski in the middle and Son on the left and Odegaard on the right. I would have thought he'd put Odegaard in the left in his best position as such, not that we actually knew anything about him, and put Son in the middle and Kulusevski on the right. But I could see why he put Kulusevski in the middle as well, trying to give us a bit of physicality. But the lineup was nothing that I was shocked about, apart from Odegaard on the right.
Was you disappointed Johnson didn't start?
No, I was not. Beetlejuice should not be starting on that pitch. He's terrible.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right, we go to Ian next because he's a new boy on the block as well. Your opinions on the lineup? We'll soon get into the game, guys.
Not too much of a surprise. As soon as I heard Mickey was out, obviously, Dragusin comes in. He played Romero. I mean, whoever he played on the left-hand side at the back is going to be played out of position. We saw Radu at Fulham, didn't look comfortable. Played him on the right today. What a difference. And Romero played on the left. So, you know, if he'd have kept Ashley Phillips, you'd have, you know, that would have been a natural left-sided centre-back to come in. But he didn't. They got, you know, they pushed him out on loan because of this whole thing about getting the wage bill down. The rest of the team, I mean, the midfield's, you know, the midfield he's not going to bring Graham Bergvall in to start. So you've got a choice really of 2 out of 3 with Saul, Basuma and Bentancur. And he 2 out of 3. So he picked the 2. He's always going to pick Maddison in the 10. And up front, Odegaard, well, I think, you know, only seen him once, so I didn't question that. Kulu, pre-season, was our best player, and he was playing as a false 9, and he played very well there. So I understood that, and Sonny on the left. So, you know, it wasn't a shock, to be honest.
I didn't know. Okay, Robbie.
Well, Robbie.
Phil, your thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised with it, to be honest with you. I mean, Odegaard left or right, I think he's pretty strong with either side. So yeah, I mean, Dragusin, obviously we knew that he was coming in to fill in for Van der Ven. He had a solid game in my eyes. I thought he was probably our best player on the day. But other than that, really, everyone else. I mean, I expected Sarr in just for his legs, his engine in that midfield to sort of press their players in midfield, which he sort of did, but he didn't do anything on the ball in my eyes. But yeah, I mean, Basuma. I said last time we were on the stream, I said he had a good game, but I want him to kick on. He never kicked on today, in my eyes, and we aren't getting that consistency from him, which is a real shame because I think he's a quality player on his day. And that's it really. I think we missed Solanke today as well. To be honest with you, his pressing is effective for us in the system that Ange plays, and I think we missed that up top today. But yeah, other than that, poor result.
Has your take on the lineup?
Well, with the front line, a lot of people talk about who's playing where, but you could have played mix and match as to who was going to play where. Because he could have started Sonny in the middle and put Odegaard on the left and Kulusevski on the right, but then you'd have a Kulusevski, in my opinion, who'd be ineffective. So would you put Kulusevski in the middle, or then Son's ineffective on the left, and Odegaard, some people argue, is ineffective on the right then? So just the front line is just not good enough in quality or in terms of chemistry or position, whatever you want to say it. So you could play mix and match with that 3. And whatever you would have done, it would have looked wrong in some people's eyes anyway. In midfield, Maddison tends to start the season anyway. So, and Sarr coming in, as Phil said, was quite obvious. Johnson being dropped was quite positive, I guess, because I didn't want to watch him play again. The back line or back 5, because obviously Van der Ven would him straight back in. But to me, it doesn't really matter what 11 we put out. If we keep doing the same sort of open tactics, we're going to get the same results. So I kind of watched the game quite numb, really. I mean, it sounds sad to say, but I just watch every game without no feeling towards it, really.
You're just genuinely not surprised, are you? Like when
Yeah.
you see what happens.
I'll
Like
tell you something. So I was watching the game with my dad, and as soon as we had all those chances or half chances we missed, my dad was like, "They're going to score now." 2 minutes later, one ball, and they scored.
Alan, your take on the lineup?
Pressing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Alan, your take on the lineup?
Yeah, I was a little surprised that Kulusevski was in the middle. I would have thought Son was in the middle. He scored most of his goals last season in the middle. And I feel like he's been kind of weak on the left, but not too surprised otherwise. I was pleased with Dragoshin coming in. I thought he did very well today in place of VDV. But we missed a Solanke. You know, we really did, I think, miss his finishing today. And that to me was the hardest part, not having someone like that in the center.
Mod Mark, your take on the lineup?
I do apologise. I was having a conversation with James about fishing.
That's all right. Fair enough.
Well, it's to be expected, to be honest. I mean, it's one of them, and I agree with Haz. I mean, could have played Sonny through the middle, but then where does Kulu play? And you could have played Odegaard anywhere, and everyone would have moaned because, quite frankly, our front line is just not good enough. Apart from Sonny, we've got no finishers.
Sonny ain't even good enough anymore.
Well, he is through the middle. He's our best finisher at the club.
Yes, but he's just not up to standards anymore, is he, of what he was?
No. In a team with, or a club with any sort of ambitions, would have looked for his replacement a couple of years ago. To be honest,
I could tolerate him as a rotational player, but not as a starter really at this point in his career.
No. I don't see Sonny playing like 40 odd games this season because he's getting older. He's what, 32 now? Sorry? Well, of course it does. Of course it does. You know, I mean, and to be honest, our whole front line is just pants anyway. If this is the standards that we got to put up with at this club, then I give up. To be honest, like the transfer window was an absolute flop. Like we've turned Hotspur way into a sick fall.
Alan, do you not rate Solanke? Not rate that by?
Do I not rate Solanke?
It's a
the Solanke thing is a bit of a debate in itself.
Oh,
yeah. What's he done?
Well, I don't know how. I didn't want Solanke. I would have rather Ivan Toney, but we needed a dedicated 9, somebody that could finish. Unfortunately,
but everyone's saying to play Sonny in the middle, so you can't.
I wasn't vouching for that. I wasn't vouching for that at all. Yeah.
Well, I mean, with Sonny in the middle, only because that's how they played him last season. It was a little surprising to see.
I disagree with you. I'm just saying, everyone's saying to play Sonny in the middle. Then everyone's saying sign a striker. But if we sign the striker, Sonny is not going to play. And then bear in mind, I've seen with Solanke, and people are forgetting this, he's come off of a 19-goal season. But the seasons before that, he was getting like 6-7 goals a season. So
he wasn't even getting that. He done 29 games with Liverpool and scored a bloody goal.
I'll come to Dan.
I remember the record.
The thing with Solanke is
Ellie, give me your take on the first half, then I'll come to Dan about his take on the first half because he's got to go in 20 minutes or whatever.
Right, the first half was a bit
the
poor.
lineup.
Oh, the lineup, yeah. I was a bit shell shocked that Sonny was on the left because I thought he's the only one who can finish. Put him in the bloody middle. Why would you change it? We've got a 4-0 victory against Everton. Why would you put Sonny on the left and then play Kulu? I think Kulu was quite confused what his role was because he was picking up the ball all over the place. So he wasn't even playing like a false 9. He was like on the wing, backing up Sonny, behind Sonny, coming on the right, going on the left. He was playing a free role more or less. But I just thought we played very poorly and, we didn't have no energy and we was like overpassing as well.
Yeah. Kulusevski was having to chase the ball. It wouldn't have mattered who you put there today. There was nobody who could pass that bloody ball today, come love nor money.
Yep.
I know.
We'll go to you, Dan. First half. Your take on the first half. What you made of the first half?
I'll give you the first half. I'll give it the whole game basically. Pretty diabolical overall. I mean, if you want to look at it, it's just the same Spurs, same tactics every time. Concede the same goals every time. I did like the way that Ange actually did drop it a little bit in the first half. The back two at least. He did actually pull them back a little bit. Noticed that, and it did work for a little while until Romero just sort of, I don't know where he went, but he went somewhere, and I don't think it was fishing. And he just totally lost it, and it went in the back, and we know what happened there. I thought Papa Sarr was absolute crap today. About the only thing he was pressing was his suit for a funeral. And after that, I mean, Basuma, how anyone can say he had a decent game, he was all over the place. I mean, he was a liability to himself and society, let alone the football club. Kulusevski couldn't get anything past to him. Maddison couldn't do nothing because he was so boxed in again by the wing backs, by the centre mids, and the inverted side. So Maddison ain't going to get nothing out of it if he was trying. That Odegaard, well, now we're getting an idea of what he really can't do, which is a lot at the moment. But 10 games will tell. But this one definitely wasn't. And Son, what is my man trying to do, being a left back for whatever reason, and trying to dribble it round the man and just getting pushed off like a bunch of feathers, and then just falling on the floor and looking up like a little boy that's just had a slap in a sixth form. Great captain. And with that, I think our team was a shambles. Vicario looked weak. He looked physically weak. Every time he come up in the air, he basically got pushed out. When he even went to punch the ball, he done it with such a flappy hand that he nearly bloody give it away. I thought today was absolutely terrible.
Ian, your take on the first half?
Well, my take on my first half, I thought we were the better team again. You know I'm completely at odds with what Dan just said. If you're asking me about the first half, stroke second half, if I can sort of come and put it all together, you know, I'll give you a stat. First 2 away games of the season, we've had 35 shots.
Mm-hmm.
How many on target?
35 shots, 2 goals.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a lot of target.
There's your problem. There's your problem. We are dominating. We are dominating games. Right? You look at it. We were much better than Newcastle. Newcastle had 3 main chances. Vic made that save from Murphy, and the 2 goals. I can't remember another time when they looked dangerous.
But the quality of their chances were a lot better than ours.
Yeah, we didn't really even have chances. We had a couple of cracks from outside the box. And the problem is today, we had chances to make chances, but didn't make a bloody chance, if that makes any sense to you.
But
everything was just tits up. I can go and have 10 shots at the goal from outside the box. Anyone can do that.
Well, I must tell you, Dan,
look better.
Dan, if we'd have had Mickey and Solanke playing today, we'd have won that comfortably. Johnson hit a most brilliant ball across the box second half. Where's Sonny? We're talking about centre forward.
Step back.
Never in the million years is he a centre forward.
Yeah,
he's an inside. Ellie, he cannot hold the ball up.
That was in the second half.
Johnson should look up and see where Sonny is. Don't just punt.
He should have cut it back, really. I thought.
Hang on.
He should see where his striker is.
Sonny should be in that 6-yard box as a centre forward. That's where Kane used to be. Sonny was on the edge of the 18-yard box.
Sonny scores most of his goals from long distance, right? So when Johnson's coming in, he should look up. Don't just punt it across to no one, and see where Sonny is and find him.
Sorry.
I look with my eyes who I'm passing to. He just punts it across the 6-yard box and expects Sonny to be there, but he's not there. So why?
He should be. What's his job, Ellie? What's his job to be there on the end of these crosses?
He was back, so he should have passed it back.
Why? No, it's not his job.
That's where Sonny was.
But if there's no one there to pass it to, why kick across the ball? He should at least look and know what he's passing to. You look up, okay, Son should have been there, and other players should have been there, but you look up, right, there's nobody there. Tell you what, I'm going to kick it across the goal anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Why kick it there?
Ellie. You're 100% right. And that's why most of the time we kick the bloody ball back anyway, because our forwards are that bloody crap that they can't even get inside the bloody box most of the time. Because as all Newcastle done, as soon as we got the ball, we'll say, do you know what? 5-4-1, got them cooked, mate. And that's that. When there's no one there to pass to, what's he meant to do? But even when he does try and pass it, he puts it tits up and it takes like 20 attempts to get one pass over.
I'll tell you something. I've been very critical of Johnson this season because he starts well first 20 minutes and then he just fades. Second half today, he's much better coming off the bench, firstly. And secondly, I thought he was our best player second half.
We had no end product.
For 5 minutes, maybe.
No, the whole half.
Right, I'm going to come to Phil now. Let Phil, your take on the first half.
Go on, Phil.
There's a lot of possession for possession's sake, to be honest with you, from what I saw, especially in both halves, really. What's pissed me off the most, I'm quite fuming about, is Newcastle there for the taking today.
Yeah.
And we weren't ruthless enough. We were toothless in attack. And we just didn't. I mean, people are saying we had chances. I didn't see a lot of chances, not a lot of clear-cut chances anyway.
That's what I'm basically saying, mate. We had chances to make chances, but didn't do it, did we?
Yeah, but I mean, if you had, seasoned pros like on the wing who are top quality, then the positions we had with our wingers today, you would see better end product. You would. We were getting balls across the box with nobody there to get on the end of them. It was like we were just crossing the ball low, just hoping that someone would be there. It wasn't that they were picking someone out. It wasn't they were pick. Yeah, it wasn't they were picking someone out. They were just drilling it across the box, hoping that someone would be there. But there's no. It's just
no chemistry, no cohesion.
There's no. It's just toothless in my eyes. That's one word I'd say
Phil,
about it.
Phil, can I give you the stats on shots today?
Yeah,
20 shots we had today. 6 on target, 6 off target, 8 were blocked.
And how many of them were outside the box, and how many were clear-cut chances? Do you know what I mean?
None.
We can say we've had that many shots, but it doesn't really tell you the full story about how the game went. Do you know what I mean?
Possession 66%. Two out of
Ian, I said about the possession. I said that we had a lot of possession, but we got in good areas. We got in good areas of the pitch in the attacking third, but we weren't ruthless enough.
Correct. We never are.
This is our problem.
Touches in the box. Touches in the box. Tottenham 49, Newcastle 14. That tells you the story of the.
What was the score? What was the score at the end of the game? What was the score?
It tells you the story of the game, Ian. But at the end of the day, when you have stats like that you're bringing up, you expect us to score a goal or two at least throughout the game instead of an own goal that was scored for us, right?
Yeah.
You expect better. We need to be more clinical. If we're throwing
not a goal.
20 shots.
I'll start that question below. We'll come to that later, okay? Thanks for the question, Henry Sago. Carry on, Phil. Sorry.
Yeah, that's it, really. That's all I really need to say about the game. But it's just, I'll say again, I'm just fuming that it was the best chance to get points at Newcastle today. It was,
frustrating.
That's what's so frustrating about it is where they were for the taking, and we didn't capitalise on it.
No.
It's frustrating
the other
about
thing
it.
that's frustrating is since December 2023. December 2023. We've beaten one top 10 team. One. Just one. And like you said today, Newcastle were there to have their throat taken. Same as they were last year, really, because they had more players missing last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
We got cooked again because of Ange's tactics.
I will say though that we looked a bit like up top, like without Solanke today, because I thought he did well against Leicester. I thought he was quite sharp, not with his finishing, but that'll come. But with his movement and his touch. I thought he was quite sharp in that sense, but I think we missed a lot of that. It wasn't balanced up top for me. It was a lot of like interchanging. I want a proper number 9 up there, and we didn't have that today.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, where was Archie Gray today? I mean, seriously, shouldn't have he been on the pitch for like
star boy? He's the star boy apparently.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, come on, man.
He's not even good enough to get on the pitch.
40 million boy. He's more than good enough for the Premiership. So a lot of people, and definitely two on here, have told me, and a few others, and he can't even get brought on when we're losing a game.
Right, 40 million.
It tells you a lot of things.
Right, we go to Has your take on the first half, Has? What's your take?
Well, we're, as I'm alluding to kind of what Phil says, kind of repeat, but we have possession for possession's sake. It's not really effective. Just because we have more possession doesn't mean it's more effective in football. It's what you do with it. We didn't really create many clear-cut chances. We just had a lot of shots from outside the box. And in one pass, Newcastle scored because we're open like a book. I was going to say something more rude, but I don't know allowed to. So it was just, it's so obvious how to cut us through with one pass. And it's just, because our fullbacks are inverted, 2 at the back. Dragusin saved us as well, I remember, with like a really good block from, I think it was Isak. On the break.
Yeah, you've done a fantastic tackle.
It's just, I could even work out how to play against us. And I'm not even a qualified manager. It's not that difficult. But we just have possession and we just don't really do much with it. And that's more to do with partly quality, but also because we have no fresh ideas. It's all the same thing every time.
Yeah.
So.
Alan, your take on the first half, and I'll go back to Dan.
God, the way we played, my analogy is that we were like a lighter with no fluid. It was sparks, but no flame, right? And we had a lot of possession, but it amounted to F all. And I thought Newcastle was the better side overall because they were able to finish. They scored technically 3 goals today. We technically scored 0. And their finishing was just better. And they had far fewer opportunities than we had. It seemed like they had our number. They knew that they let us dribble and dribble and dribble and pass and pass and pass in their half. And then they would just kind of
just wait.
Just kind of kick the ball over and run and score. And that's all you have to do with us, unfortunately, with the high line that we have.
Suicide. It's suicide.
Yeah. Which, if we were to put away all of the opportunities we had, those couple of goals wouldn't have mattered. But we're so terrible in the final third. I was telling my wife before the game when I saw that Sarr was going to play, I said, you know what? I bet you within the first 10, 15 minutes, he's going to get a yellow card. Because I know Newcastle's very physical, and I don't know if he is skilled enough to be physical without drawing the yellow. But he drew the yellow, which then dictated, it was within 10 minutes, which I think messed with the rest of his game because he had to be worried about picking up a second yellow. So it's frustrating. We had, I think Dan was saying it, we kind of had the makings of something, but it never amounted to anything, which is really frustrating. And it was really frustrating to see just how easy it is to unwind everything we do to move up the pitch with just a couple of quick passes over, getting past our defense and scoring.
The lack of number 6 for me is a big factor as well, because normally the number 6 would drop in with the centre half, so at least you'd have 3 players back there instead of 2.
Yeah.
Right. But Ange doesn't like a 6.
That pitch with the 4 defenders, right? At least with the 6 who would drop, like Arsenal use Partey when he drops in, at least you'd have a more solid back line. When we don't have the ball.
On the goal, I thought the body shape was all wrong on our defenders. I thought
we don't have a leader. There's no leaders in the team anyway.
Van de Ven was a big miss, especially for that goal. He was,
So we can't rely on one player to hold.
If he was in there, he would have covered that.
No, we do. But I don't want us to do. That's what I'm trying to say.
Phil,
this is how reliant we are on Van de Ven in this system.
Player. And
Both goals. Can I just say both goals? Because Udogie made that stupid foul that eventually led to the first goal on the second phase. Mickey would have swept that up.
Yes,
he would have won that ball, and the ball that was put through for the second goal, Mickey would have walked. Mickey would have swept that up as well, and that's the problem. We're so reliant on him. You know,
but we can't have that, though, can we? No. We can't just rely on one player at the back.
No,
he's not going to be there every time, is he?
But the fact that our whole system relies on a bloody defender that sits on the flipping halfway line shows how crap Ange is and can't bloody adapt to the Premiership. Yeah. I've only got one more bit to say because I ain't got long, so sorry to interrupt here. What we basically did today, it was like going down the pub when you're 21, seeing a bird there, like nice woman that you think you can get somewhere with. So what you do, you chat to her all night. What you do, you buy her drinks all night. What you do, you go out and have a fag out the back with her if she smokes. Take her back in, have a few more drinks with her and everything. Then you think, should I ask for her phone number? Don't ask for her phone number. Next thing you know, the bloke standing there who's done nothing all night walks up to her and says, all right, sweetheart, what you up to? Thanks coming back to mine. Yeah. And then next thing you know, you might as well be standing there with your pants down. Well, at least the other fella is anyway. You're now screwed. And you've spent all the money and everything else, and you're standing there looking like a mug. That's exactly what we did today.
Do you know I've done that to lots of fellas.
What's that, Ellie?
I've done that to lots of fellas.
Dan, do you not think that that's down to the lack of ability in the squad?
I think it's down to both, yeah. I think the ability in the squad, again, I've been telling everyone this for 9 months, and I've got a lot of people to wake up now, yeah. Ange's system does not work in the top league. He's never done it before. He's only ever done it in a league that's what the Scottish league is lower than the bloody the bloody USA league. If you was to play this team with Conte's tactics, with 5 at the back, or 3-4-2-1, 3-4-1-2, whatever you want, give that number 10 the space he needs. Let the wing backs be bloody wing backs, not inverted bloody crap. 3 at the back, and then place even Son and bloody Solanke up front. We're sorted. We've got a first 11 there that can deliver. The squad itself is poor as anything. Because who are you going to bring on? What, Archie Gray, who's played 20 minutes in the Premiership and has never even experienced top class football? Or we got a choice of Timo Werner coming on, or bloody Brenda Johnson, Beetlejuice, whatever you want me to call him. But that first 11 could actually deliver in a cup. But no, Ange can't adapt come love nor money. He proved it again today. He's got 2-3 games now. If he loses that game against Arsenal and we get royally cooked, we all know what this fan base is like. And if we go out of that cup towards Coventry, who are going to kick us all over the place like a bunch of boys in a secondary school, he's gone, mate. Because the fan base is going to turn, and he's going to be gone before Christmas.
Dan, let me ask you a question. Ange goes, yeah? Just say the pressure's on. We lose to Arsenal. We lose to United. We lose to Brighton. 3 out the next 4. We beat Brentford. We're sitting on 7 points from 7 games.
Yeah.
So we're sort of mid-table, but lower part of the mid-table. Just say I can't see us losing to Coventry, but just say we do. Just say we do. The pressure then goes onto the board.
That's right.
Their deflection tactic every time is to sack the manager. Every time. We've had 15 managers in 23 years, plus I think a couple of interims.
I'm not making it right, by the way.
Right. Who joins us? Who comes in? Who wants to come in?
Okay, I'll answer that one for you. I'll answer it. I'll answer it. It'll be quite easy at the end of the day, because it was actually a question asked on Sava's show, yeah? I don't personally want to see the back of him, but I do. His tactics are not going to work. So what do we do? Start again, or do we leave it 3 years when we notice it just ain't working and he ain't getting supported, whatever people say, and we start again then? Do you know what? To me, it's irrelevant now, yeah? Because we are what we are, mate. And with that, we'll get a manager in there easy. There'll be some young manager, or there'll be another Ange out there who wants to come over from Scotland and get paid 2-3 million a year and whatever, and will come in. He'll know exactly that what he has to do is when he goes and sees Levy, he has to get on his hands and knees. And then when he comes out there, he's going to be walking like John Wayne. We all know what it's like there with Levy. And then when it comes down to the crunch, it'll happen again and again and again. Until that fella, something happens to him. God forbid, I don't bless or wish on nobody on that. But we know what life's like. Stuff happens and that. maybe there is a bit of luck there. Until that man's gone, nothing's changing except managers going in and out.
I agree. No, I agree with you.
But it won't be hard to get another manager. A good manager, yes, it will. But to go and get another one
that's
like
what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. There's
no point in keeping a manager for the sake of keeping a manager to not sack managers, to be that club that sacks managers. It's pointless.
Right, but hang on. Do you say, right, Ange wants Johnson 47 million, there's 47 million. He wants this one, he wants this one, he wants that one. He spends 150, 200 million on players that he wants, right? You've got kids coming through. Now, the reason evidently they've not gone and bought a centre-back is you've got Phillips coming back next year. I understand he was absolutely amazing yesterday for Stoke. I don't know why he went out on loan. He would have been perfect to have kept back and for the squads, because we are short. Phillips is, for me, is better than bringing Davis in. Phillips is a proper natural left-sided centre-back. You've got Vuskovic coming through. You've got Dorrington, who's at the club, who's training, who is very highly rated. So that's why they didn't bring in another centre-back. Why they, we're short. The squad we know is short.
But Ian, I agree with you.
But then why
did he come out and say in 12 months he expects to be in the title race?
Yeah, why didn't he play Ashley Phillips in the pre-season and he played skipper centre-back? Come on.
And Gray, and Archie Gray there.
Archie Gray at the back.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
It doesn't make sense.
He can't fancy Ashley Phillips.
But if you look at the squads today, all of Newcastle's front three would get into our team, wouldn't they? All three.
That's what I said.
Look, the thing is with Ange, you can blatantly see it. He's out of his depth. Come on, be real. He has not adapted one bit. I mean, and the way it looks like on that pitch as well, the players just don't look like they like the football or even know how to play the football. I think half of them still trying to struggle to find their bloody gender on the pitch.
I've got to tell you, Dan, they're all behind him. They're all behind him, evidently.
It don't look like it the way they play. I can only go by eyes. We don't know what goes on in the dressing room. I don't know if you're there as a fly on the wall, but I'm not, so I can't vouch that, but I can only go by what I see. They either ain't got a clue what they're doing with him because they just can't work it out, or they just don't like what they're doing with it. The man looks like he can't change or adapt and couldn't organise a piss up in a bloody brewery. And then when he goes and gives the talk afterwards about how we've had a brilliant 3 games, this and that and everything else, the man standing there with his face so far on the bloody floor, he looks like he's been hit with a flipping wet fish. He's done. He's dusted. You can see it. He's already broken. Again, another manager broken.
Yeah, I think the players are playing for him. I think they are giving their all for him. I don't see any of that.
Like this.
Yeah,
no inspiration. I watch him, and I have zero inspiration from him on the bench. Zero.
Yeah. I don't.
You look at Eddie Howe right today. Eddie Howe screaming at his players, do this, do that. I look at Ange.
He's not that type of manager. I don't think he's lost. I don't think he's lost the dressing room. I think the players are playing for him. I just don't think these players are good enough.
They're just not good enough
to play the way he plays.
They're just not good enough.
There's 5-6 players that
look positive on the pitch.
And what did we do? We bought in 3 18-year-olds and a 19-year-old.
Ellie, the most positive thing about that transfer window,
he hasn't said something for a while. Mark, your take on the first half and what just been said. I'll give my take after Ellie's had her say.
I've got to shoot.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because I wasn't.
We'll get you on for a longer period.
Big up, Dan.
Last word I'll say on that, just to stir everything up even more. That transfer window, but the only thing that was probably that Maddison's wife was probably more positive than that on the bloody 4th one coming. That's all I've got to say with that. I'll see you later. Take care.
Big up, Dan. Big up,
Dan. Thanks for coming on. Right, Mark, we'll go to you, Ellie, and then I'll give my take on the first half and the lineup. Mark, if you've got anything to say, or if not.
Newcastle started by far the better team. And then we did manage to get a foothold in the game. And it's like Has said, we were just passing it for passing's sake. Our forward line is dreadful. Like, we might have had 49 touches in the box or whatever. Like, how many of them were clear-cut chances? If you'd have watched the game afterwards, Man United, Liverpool showed you how to take their chances.
Yeah.
1-2 touch football, bang in the net. We created nothing like that whatsoever. The whole transfer window, we did not fill one hole in our that we could all see was glaring weaknesses in the squad. And all we've done is turn Hotspur Way into a sick form, and they might be good in about 5 years. All right. Where was Starboy Gray today? Who's going to rip the Premiership to bits? Where was he today? On the bench, didn't even get on the pitch. And allegedly he was coming straight into this team and he was going to rip the Premiership to pieces. No, this club will never go forwards. And it's like I was watching another stream earlier for 10 minutes or so. Someone made a very good point on there. I'm not going to say who, but someone made a very good point on there. We've spent 100 and whatever it was million, 150 million, say. We bought 4 or 5 players this year. Top teams that would have been 2 players. Yeah. To walk into the first team and improve it.
Yeah.
But we 5 players that may be good in the future. It's not good enough. And our tactics are absolutely shocking. I've been saying it since before the season started. All this bloody inverted nonsense has got to stop, because one pass, and they're through us like a knife. And we all know what's going to happen. It's absolutely shocking. And until Ange changes, decides to play, well, we ain't got one anyway, but decides to play a number 6. Oh, here we go. Here's the biggest happy clapper. Here's the biggest happy clapper out of a lot of them in the chat now. Jesus Christ. Yeah. All right, Soren in the chat. Where was Starboy bloody, what's his name? Archie Gray today that you told me was going to rip the Premiership to bits. Hey? Sorry?
He was getting splinters.
Come on. Yeah. Come on, put a comment in. Where was Starboy Anthony Gray today?
He's still pulling them out.
Yeah, he's going to rip the Premiership to bits, remember.
Who said he was going to rip the Premiership? Who did?
Plenty of people have said that to me.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of people.
The next generation player.
Three things just on what Alan just said. I agree with you on the tactics. I think we play far too high a line. If we'd have played absolutely, if we'd have played 10 or 15 yards further back, I think that their second goal doesn't get scored.
Yeah.
We were too high up. Secondly, I want to ask all of you and everybody listening. Harry Kane's in the team. We've dominated 3 games. How many points do we get? For me, we're sitting on 9 points with a proper centre forward. Yeah. So apart from the finishing, what we're saying is the first 3 games.
We might get a draw today with Kane. I don't think we win the game though.
I must tell you something. We all saw how we buckled at Fulham, at Brighton, against Wolves. We were losing games. Liverpool 4 goals, Newcastle 4 goals. The first
hold on, Ian. A lot of people on X were saying that Kane can't fit in this system to try and justify his sale.
No, he fits any system.
I'm saying that. I'm saying people on X were saying this when Kane was going, he doesn't fit Ange, but it's all right.
Well, that's ridiculous, isn't it? The reason Kane went was that they weren't going to lose 85 million. I don't know any business that would lose 85 million because Kane was never going to sign another contract.
To be honest,
Ian, I see where you're going. I see where you're going with this, Ian, with the Kane thing. But at the end of the day, we're not. Would we get the ball to him? Is the thing. Do you know what I mean? Because at the moment, from what I'm seeing from our wingers, I don't think he'd get the supply. To be honest with you,
I think like the Johnson cross where no one was there. I think Harry Kane would have been there.
Yeah,
he's the poacher.
Definitely. And to be honest, Ian, right? The reason why Harry Kane left is because he didn't see the progression in the club. If we'd have been a big club and showed progression and bought the players in that supported him, he wouldn't have left. He'd have stayed with us his entire career.
He said we were 2 or 3 players away, he said.
Yeah, exactly.
We're always 2 or 3 players away.
I'll give you my take on the first half, right? The goal in particular. We had 6 blue shirts in the line. Maddison goes to make a challenge. It shouldn't really be his challenge because where's the right back? You know what I mean? But then the ball comes across. Then you've got Dragerson and Basuma there. Behind him, you've got Udogie and Sarr. There was 6 players in the line. Dragerson and Basuma should have closed Harvey Barnes down. Didn't happen. Romero had gone forward previous to that to press, so he hadn't got back, so he can take his fair share of the blame for that. We had more than enough bodies to clear that out of the way, right?
But Adrian, doesn't it show that they don't practice defensive transitions and structure in
No, I don't think it was that, because I actually see some set plays during that game that I could see.
No, I'm not talking about set plays. I'm talking about defensive structure.
No, because at times in games players will gamble and go forward. I mean,
but they shouldn't.
Romero got 5 goals last season, didn't he? And he got 1 disallowed today. He got his timing wrong. He shouldn't have pressed, right? But that's not down to him being a bad player, is it? We know
I'm not saying he's a bad player.
He's just made the wrong choice, isn't he?
Correct.
Today he's made the wrong choice. That's all that is, right? So he got it wrong, and we paid dearly for it. But we had 6. If you go and watch, you freeze that video, we had 6 light blue shirts in a line. 6. And they took the throw quickly. So either, like the commentator says, we switched off, or they just weren't looking. They just weren't looking for what was happening on that, right? So that cost us, right? Now, up until the point where the linesman got injured, I thought it was pretty even. They got forward, but they didn't do nothing. We got forward and we didn't do nothing. As soon as that linesman was changed,
actually
dominated.
As soon as
we
that linesman
dominated,
had
right?
that thing, that's when we got.
No, we dominated.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Okay, I mean, this is my opinion. It's not being happy. It's the way I see it impartially, right? If I look at that first half, now everyone can. I understand people get emotional on a result like this. I really understand it, but you need a reality check sometimes, because if you turn around and tell me who played bad in that first half, name the bad players that played for us today. Name the bad players. Who was actually that awful today?
Madison.
Right.
No.
Let's go. Okay.
Who played bad or who played well? Sorry.
Who played bad? Who was awful? Who was really awful for us today?
Johnson, Udogie.
Johnson, are you having a laugh? Yeah. He was our best player in the second half.
Johnson wasn't.
Johnson made a massive difference.
No, I agree.
Odebert's another one.
I'm going to come round with Soren first next. Good evening, Soren. I'll come to you next when we discuss the second half, right? I want to give you a stat. We had 66 possession during the game, right? We had 48 touches in their penalty area. They had 18. We had 30 more.
They scored 2, mine. They scored 2, and we had no goal.
System. I don't agree with all this talk about the system. I just think it's BS, but that's my opinion, because all systems work and all systems fail. I've said it before.
So this
There's nothing wrong with the system. Look, we got caught twice. Last season we were playing it. We were poorer last season when we had Davies and Emerson at centre-back, because we had all them injuries, conceded lots of goals, right? We still finished 5th. We'd lost Harry Kane. And this season, I think we've got a better fist with what we've got. I know we've got young players to go forward this season, but we'll see if I'm right or wrong. The proof of
Adrian, I can see the system working, right? But there's a few things for it to work, right? One, we need better wingers to supply the striker, right?
We need a striker to start with.
2, Van der Ven needs to be at the back, right? And they're the 2 main things that we need in this system to work. I mean, I'll say about number 6, I'm not convinced about that. I think 2 midfielders in there that 2 midfielders in there that are box to box. I think that's okay. But you need 2 quality wingers for his system to work, especially with a Van der Ven at the back. They're the 2 main factors for his system to work.
If Van der Ven's not there, it doesn't work. That's just a simple.
No, this is what I mean. It's so risky to play. This is why I agree with Dan with him needing to adapt when Van der Ven is not in the team. He needs to adapt at that point. If he doesn't, then he's just being stubborn with the way he's playing. And that's a big thing.
he should have dropped back 10, 15 yards because he hasn't got Mickey's electric pace.
The recoveries. Yeah.
That's right, absolutely.
But
So
you look at the high line for the goal. You know, even their body shape was all wrong as well. You know, they were pretty much on the halfway line, pretty much. When that ball was fed from Joe Linton into Murphy, sorry.
But as a defender, you're on the half turn. You're on your toes. You're on the half turn. Romero's facing on, flat-footed, not aware that Dragusin and Udogie are behind him.
Yeah, but Dragusin needs more yardage for him to have a bit more leeway for him to get back and recover. Van de Ven doesn't need that. Do you know what I mean? He can recover that extra yard. You know,
but if Romero hasn't switched off, he hasn't switched off.
Can't blame everything on Romero though, because
it's the defensive line is all to blame, not just one.
Yeah, it's the same old goal.
Romero didn't have a great game today. I'm a big defender. I'm a big defender of Romero, and he didn't have a good game today.
No, he didn't. But to me, when it comes to look at Udogie's positioning before the goal is scored, right? He should be more goal side and sitting deeper than he was, right? In my opinion. Now, that's for what it's worth. So, all right, we can blame Romero for the goal. That's fine. We know he's a good footballer. He'll get over it. We know he'll have a lot more better games. Everyone's emotional because we've lost a game we should have won. Same with Leicester, but we drew that game and we should have won it. I get that. But we didn't play badly today. We couldn't finish our dinner, but we didn't play badly. There's no way we played badly.
We did some good things as well.
We were ineffective.
We had a lot of the ball. We passed it around. When people say you don't have 66% possession if your players are playing badly, because it shows that you've had 66% of the ball. The maths don't add up.
But Adrian, the possession doesn't mean
the fact everyone's annoyed we lost, right? I get that.
But I don't think Adrian's saying that. If you have 66% possession, it's still good. But it's what you do with it. We did do some really good moves, I must admit, and we penetrated their and we cut through their defence. It was just the finishing wasn't there.
They weren't clear cut, though, Ellie.
No.
Like Porro, I think we hit the bar.
Remember when he skied it?
Porro got about 5 or 6 shots blocked. There was that one corner which we did really clever, which we passed really good short pass. Yes. It was really clever.
Yeah, but Ellie,
didn't come off.
They were all half chances. I didn't see clear cut chances.
Well, the only one I saw that was sort of clear cut was that Johnson one when he skied it, and he should have really.
And
hit
also Porro's shot.
But with the left foot.
Over the bar.
And Odegaard should have headed that ball, not gone with it.
Yeah, I can't believe Odegaard missed that chance, man.
It was an easy goal to score. It was an easy chance to score with your head. But I don't look. I'm disappointed we lost. I'm always disappointed when we lose. But I wasn't the actual performance. I knew the way this would go. But I mean, it wasn't as bad. Sorry, I'm going to bring you in as we discuss the second half now. Welcome, mate. You're a regular here. Give us your take on your take on the game. What you saw.
I'm going to backwind a minute to the idiot above me.
There we go.
We don't need to do that. No, it's not.
Don't even go there with insults. Don't even start with insults. That shows a football ignorance.
Yeah.
No insult.
If you can't discuss properly, you shouldn't be on here.
So I'm having my say. So,
come on, let's calm it down, people. Come on.
Seeing as you insinuated that I was the one that told you Archie Gray was going to walk straight into the team, I never said that.
No, you didn't.
I said he was going to be a star for this team, and he would play a part in this team. So don't.
Where is the stardom, man? He's not played one game.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Huh? Neither is any. There's only Solanke who we've signed that has started a game for us.
But why did we spend all our money on youngsters then?
Because it's a generational
game. Here we go. Here we go.
Talent for the future, and that is exactly what I said.
Future now. If you
this is why. This is why.
Not now.
This is why.
If she's
this is why. This is why. This is why we never win anything. This is why we never win anything. Because people like you, accept mediocrity.
He's generational.
Sorry,
come on, people, man. Let's be a bit respectful here. Come on. It is football, man. Come on.
Hang on, Phil. Let us speak.
Calm down. We're all angry that we lost. We should have won.
Gray's not generational. If he was generational, he would be starting every game.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to get to that point, though.
They don't, because Yamal started for Spain in the whole Euros, and he's 16, 17 years old, even younger than Gray.
Yeah.
But what has been what has been said about Gray by me, seeing as you're having a go at me, is he will be a big part player for this team in the future. Nobody, and I'd like Mark to name one person that has said he will walk straight into the team and start from day one.
Well, in the WhatsApp group,
Nobody has said in the WhatsApp group that he's going to start.
No, hang on a minute. Every time there's comments in the WhatsApp group, he's like, we got to give him a chance. You know, he's obviously not good enough. He's not ready, right? And this is why we never. This is why we don't win nothing, because you accept this mediocrity.
I said he will walk into the team from day one.
Listen,
I'm asking you now to name one person.
Ange doesn't think he's good enough.
Name one person that has said.
Why do we sign him, Ellie? Then I don't.
Yeah, exactly. What was the point of signing?
I think that's a false argument, because you all know full well that when you bring a young player in, right? You know full well. I mean, this is a sad argument, to be honest. You know full well when you bring a young player in, they're not going to get thrown in straight away. They're going to be drip fed into this team, right? I mean, this is. I don't agree with it.
4 of them. It's not
I've gone on record. Mind you, anyone can clip me. I've gone on record and I said that Gray and Bergvall, I'll say it again, are going to be stars for this club. They're going to be stars, right? So, but I'm not saying now. And the other bit about the manager, I mean, I know there's people that don't like the system, so they want the manager to go. You'll always get that with the fan base. The reason he won't be going anywhere, because even if we had a horrendous season and a horrendous injuries like last year, right, there's no way we're not qualifying for the knockout stages of the Europa Cup. Not in a million years.
You don't know that.
Well, you know, I look at the opposition, you know. And
you don't know that, Adrian. That's not 100% guaranteed.
You're not going to walk over these teams in Europe, that's for sure.
Alan, do you not think?
Take bets on it.
Alan, if you look at firstly, as far as I'm concerned, the matches that I've seen Gray play, and the first game against Bayern Munich when he was in Korea, he should never have played because he'd been ill the previous 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I was told, because I saw a complete drop off from Hearts, QPR, and then you're looking at a player and you think, Jesus, he looks right out of it. I was told by someone who knows them that he should not have played. He is a quality player. My son's got a pal who's Leeds home and away, who is devastated he has left, who said that Leeds should have held him for another year. He'd have been worth 65 to 70 million. And I've spoken to a few people who have watched him constantly, who both reckon, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the England World Cup squad for 26. I think he's going to be that good. I think Bergvall as well. I think you just see the way he plays. Fantastic. Vicario
Can I have my 10 pence on this with the Gray thing? Right. I think with Haz, and I'm obviously thinking that Mark's the same with Haz about Gray, and Ian and Adrian are sort of going the other way, saying he's going to be, general. He's going to be a star. I'm in the middle, right? I'm giving these players a chance to sort of try and see what they can do throughout their Tottenham career. I'm not saying they're going to be a star. I'm not saying they're going to be a flop. At the end of the day, I think we need to be middle grounded with it and let these players sort of, bed into the team. That's all. That's my opinion on it, to be honest.
No, the point is, though, exactly what... Sorry, I don't know the name of the chap that's directly above me. Is it Ian?
I'm Ian, hi.
Right, Ian, yeah. You just said it exactly the point, that this guy is going to be an absolute star in the future. Now, any idiot who thinks that he's going to walk straight into a Premiership team on day one, or thinks that other people are saying that, you're not listening to what we're saying. We are saying that one day, very soon probably, and I'm not talking about 5-6 years, I'm talking about this season or next season, he will be a superstar. He will be that good. That does not mean he's going to walk into the team from day one. Now, you've only got to actually watch him to see how good he is.
I have watched him play, though. I watched him play with Leeds for like 10, 15 games last season.
Yeah, and
I didn't think he was that great.
I've seen him play live, and like Ian said, I've got a lot of friends that are Leeds fans. They are devastated he's gone.
Yeah, but he's also their boy, Soren. He came from the Leeds Academy.
So was Skippy. How many people are devastated Skippy's gone? Not many of us.
It's different from that Leeds, Soren, because they're not in the championship.
Always different, though, isn't it? It's always different when it doesn't suit your agenda.
We're on a different level to Leeds,
no disrespect, but Leeds are in the championship.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Matt. We are on a different level, and that's why he stepped up to us. So you tell me exactly one person that has said he will walk in. Ian's just summed it up perfectly. He will be a star one day.
What are you basing this on? What are you basing this on? It's just hope.
Yeah.
It's not just hope.
It's hopium. It's hopium.
Can I come in and answer that? We all watch a lot of football. I think we've all got a fair idea. When you see somebody play football, you've got an idea if they can play or not, can't you? You don't need to watch them. You don't need to watch them 20 times.
And it depends what you're looking for as well, Ian.
No, actually,
everybody likes different.
I think you have to watch at least like 10 to 15 games to gauge the quality of the player, because inconsistency, also it could be like a one-off good game instead of like 10 consistent good games, for example. Like, I don't think you watch a kid on a whim and think, oh, this guy's generational, this guy's amazing.
This is why I'm saying this is why I'm letting them play. Basically, this is why I'm not making a judgment on these young players yet. You know what I mean? They're 3 games into the season.
He's going to be a star. He's the amount of players that came to Tottenham in the past.
I personally don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. We should let these players sort of play.
I'm saying the amount of people who have come in the past, players saying, "Oh, he's going to be a star," and all this.
You've got a team in Leeds pushing to be promoted to the Premiership. Are you honestly telling me they're going to play a mediocre 16, 17-year-old kid virtually every game for a Championship title push to get back to the Premiership? Do you really think they're going to play a poor player?
No, he didn't even get in Team of the Year.
Okay. Maybe the guy that Alan can answer that. Alan, maybe the guy who pushed him out of the Team of the Year is also good enough for the Premier League. Why are we looking down rather than?
Why didn't we buy him then?
That's smart.
Yeah, why did I agree?
Well, do any of you actually
believe? Because I don't. Right? Do any of you actually believe that Bergvall and Gray were bought in for next season? That they're not going to be used this season? Do any of you actually think that? Of course, they're going to be used this season. No. And what is a cheap shot, as? What is a cheap shot from Spurs fans? Is like, now it looks like you're making an excuse we lost because we didn't play Gray or Bergvall or something.
No.
Bad argument. It's a sad argument. If you don't like the players, look, it's subjective whether you like players or not, whether you think they're going to be generation talents or not. But at least be at least be objective in your assessment. If it's to push an agenda that you don't like and or you don't like the system, that's wrong.
It's about the performance of the team, not the players on the bench that haven't played.
And to sneer and go, well, if he's not that, if he's that good, brought in that good, why wasn't he starting? Well, he wasn't starting. You'd have to ask Ange that. Ange picks a team to win a game, right? He didn't win it, but he picks a team. He said that last season in his press conference. I will pick a team to win a particular game, which means he's willing to change. I mean, he threw Odegaard in last week, didn't he?
Adrian, if you look at Odegaard is an anomaly as far as Ange is concerned, because he plays for me a kamikaze style of football. Never seen anybody. I've been following football. I mean, I went to my first game in 1965, and I've followed Tottenham regularly since '69. I've never ever seen anybody play 2 at the back and play 5 in midfield and push your fullbacks in as 10s.
Am I allowed to, Adrian? Am I allowed to, Adrian?
It's the box office, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Can I just add that he's
Hey, what?
No,
Am I allowed to, Adrian?
Sorry?
Am I allowed to send Mr. Box Office a link?
No, I don't want him on.
Oh, sorry, Alex.
But can I just say, Ange's very he plays a very high risk style of football. When it comes to his selection, he's the complete opposite. Complete opposite. You know, when it came to we're one down to Villa and West Ham at home last year, the Celso comes off. We need a goal. He puts Skip on instead of Donnelly. And there were so many instances last year that he plays it safe every single time. He plays with his substitutions. It's like for like. Doesn't think outside the box. I'm not comparing Ange obviously to Ancelotti or Tuchel, but if you looked at the Real Madrid Bayern Munich semi-final in the Champions League last year, the managers were making substitutions, changing the style of the play, changing the systems 2 or 3 times during the match. And the other one was countering it. Ange just plays one way. So he is stubborn he's stubborn when it comes to the system. He's also stubborn when it comes to selection. Now, as far as the kids are concerned, Gray is never going to be in front of, you've got 2 spots in midfield. He's got to get in front of Basuma, Sarr and Bentancur, any 2 out of those 3, which he's not going to do at the moment. And Bergvaul's got to get in front of Maddison and Kulu for the 10 spot, which he's not at the moment. Where you'll see these kids come on will be League Cup games, Europa League games. The way that
they'll get their chance in throughout the season.
They'll get their chance in those cup games. Not in the league. The way Sherwood brought Kane in.
Sherwood brought Kane in. He started Kane, actually. He started him. Kane.
Who Sherwood did?
Yeah, he didn't bring him on initially. He started him.
No, but he started him in a European game, in a UEFA Cup game, and that's where.
No, that was Harry Redknapp, I think you're talking about.
No, Kane did. Kane came into.
Actually, Kane was debut from Harry Redknapp. Redknapp played him in a few cup games, and then he was loaned out for a while. Yeah, and then he was loaned out for a few years. Then he came back, then Sherwood put him in the first team.
But I mean, the thing is, though, jumping back to Gray, what Markin has, what position does he play? As his main position.
Let me have my say on this.
Last season for Leeds.
No, come on, Mark ain't said something for a while.
No, I ain't said fuck all for ages. Right now, there's no one more than me that wants him to knock it out the park, and Bergvall and all the rest of the youngsters. My argument when we sign these players is we need improvements now, not for 5 years, not for 3 years. We need them now. We should have bought established, proven quality players. Instead of spending 150 million on 5 players, we should have bought 2 players with that would have instantly walked into our first team, improved us, and then results like today, well, it wouldn't have changed because of Ange's suicide tactics, and he only knows one way of playing, but that possibly would not have happened.
You've just contradicted your own argument.
No, I haven't contradicted my own argument.
Let me explain what I mean. That you've just said if we'd have bought 2 established players that have walked straight into the team, but we'd have still probably lost today because of Ange's.
No, I said we would have probably won today. Or we might have won today. Yes. I said we may have won today.
Chance percentage to win than signing 4 youngsters.
Yeah, 5 youngsters.
The point is, we've
actually all on the system. How many times? Now, last season we got 5th. Now, with regards to the players and the changing squad,
5th was a disgrace last year, to be honest, because 90-odd% of the teams that are top after 10 games, 95% of teams that they finish top 4. And so for us to finish 5th is an absolute disgrace.
What I wanted to see this season, unlike last when we had 22 injuries, right? I'm trying to keep a balanced perspective on this, is Ange have a whole season where we know you're going to pick up the odd injury for the season, probably get the odd suspension for too many yellow cards and whatever, but have the average amount of that other teams have to see how his system works. Now, and give him the season to see it, because I'm not judging him on last year, and he got 5th without Kane. I thought, and with Emerson, Royal and Davies at centre-backs, it's not a miracle we got 5th, right? It is, and that's the truth, right? Now, so what I'm trying to say to you guys is, how many times playing this system, now I can only go on last season, right? And even last season when I'm watching it, because I'm still getting my head around the inverted fullbacks when it's really working in full flow, and I'm seeing signs of changes, of link-up plays between pairs of players on the field, and I can see that when I'm at the ground, right? You don't often see that so much on the TV. How many times have you actually seen two centre-halves parked on the halfway line for most of the game? It doesn't happen. We fall into a mid-block and a low block. It doesn't happen. We get caught occasionally. That's the risk assessment with this system. Now, you either believe in its system or not. I don't want Ange to change the system because this is what he is. It's his football philosophy.
Adrian,
he either lives. Let me finish, Haz. Let me finish.
Okay.
He either lives or dies on the hill with his system, and he shouldn't change it, because if he changes it and he starts chopping and changing it again, we don't know what he's doing, let's get rid of him. The guy don't know what he's doing. He should stick to what he believes in and die for his beliefs if he has to. That's my opinion on it. So I want to see him continue.
Adrian, we're banking on outscoring teams every single game.
Not necessarily.
And we haven't got. We are, because we the amount of shots we're having every game, right? We should be killing teams off, but because of the lack of quality up top, we're not doing that, and that's evident to see. This comment here, right, with Liverpool. Right, the difference between their forward players, right? That the XG of their chances, they put their chances away. We don't. We don't create clear-cut chances either.
Look. You can only assess that on this season on if we start conceding goals playing this system. We didn't concede against Everton. Everton then everybody says they
got nothing.
To their squad. I mean, it wasn't awful. It wasn't awful. They're an awful team. They're playing without confidence. Okay, but we didn't concede a goal. We conceded 1 goal away at Leicester. We've conceded 2 a day. So in 3 games, we conceded 3 goals. Hardly a failure.
Adrian.
Hardly a defensive failure. That's hardly a defensive failure.
Can I say something?
Hang on. Eddie's got something to say, I think.
Go on, you can say something, Mark. Everyone can have their say.
No. I think, is Ellie still there? Ellie? No? All right. Well,
can I say sorry? Because Adrian, you always point to the amount of injuries we've had and blah, blah, blah. And I've got 2 points for this. Number one, I think a lot of our injuries are caused by the system we play because of the amount of recoveries, for example, something that Van der Ven has to do and the inverted fullbacks have to do because they're so far high up, which is why Dogi picked up that bad injury at the end of last season. Van der Ven's already got injured. And just we play such a high-intensity game where you're going to have more injuries by default. Also, all teams get injuries. So this is just part of the game, right? This is not everything.
I'm going to agree with you in a sense, but I just want to put an extra bit of context in there. I agree with you fully, but you've also got to look at Tottenham. For some reason, has a long history of a lot of injuries. So there's something more than just the system now, because even under Conte and under Jose, we had a lot of injuries.
I know Jose used to moan about it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, so it's more than the system now because it was a totally different system back then. But I agree with what you're saying now, that the system isn't helping.
Yeah, it's just not helping us. The players are making so many recoveries or runs and stuff, and they're just going down, really. Van der Ven was inevitable, I think. I just didn't think it would happen this close. But if there's a massive issue, why haven't we gone out and gone a better medical staff or something? Like that
wasn't a muscle injury though,
it's a hip injury.
I mean, any player on the pitch could have had that injury. Do you know what I mean? I do see what you're saying. Yeah. I do see what you're saying though with his.
He just missed out on today. He was very close.
Yeah.
He'll be fit for Arsenal.
The thing is, if you look at today's match, the one player that has been quite consistent and played very well is the one player that let us down today in Kuti. He was playing on the left instead of the right, he had the worst game he's had for a long, long time.
But nothing alluded to the system is, I wasn't alive during this time period, but my dad talks a lot about Oscar Diaz and his style of football. Yeah. He goes, this is the closest thing I've seen to that. And that didn't work. And that was like crazy attacking football, 4-2-4. Like similar to this. So it proves that trying to outscore the opponent in the league of this caliber is not going to work. This kind of football is not going to work.
No, Ange's tactics.
Ange's harder to do it now.
Ange's tactics worked in Scotland. They're certainly where Celtic are the best team anyway. Let's face it, there's only Celtic and Rangers.
They won, I think, today, right? 2-3-0 or something against Rangers.
3-0, they beat Rangers today. But when Andrews was in charge at Celtic, they were far ahead of Rangers. And so his tactics in that league, you're just going to blow teams away. But you're not going to do that in this league. And unless he adapts, I'm sorry, but he's gone. You know, because Levy will not put up with being 10th at Christmas. We all know this. That's why we've had, what was it, Ian? 15 managers in
15 or 16 managers in 23 years.
Yeah, but that's why. Because if we're not going to qualify for the Champions League, Levy will pull the trigger. Yeah, he's gone. You know, in these tactics, they're just not going to work in the Premier League.
How do you think, Alan? Alan, you're spot on. In terms of Scotland, you're right. He had the best players in the
best team.
And that's right. And if you've got the best players and the best team, you can play this way.
Yeah.
Because you can play a high line. You're always going to score that many more goals. You'll win 4-2 every week. Doesn't matter. And look at the success he had. Same in Japan, same in Australia. I think that he's been a bit naive coming into this league thinking, you know, I've been in 3 leagues. I've got this system that works. I think it's going to work here. You know, you can't change the will. Nobody has ever won with two playing 2 centre backs and no fullbacks. It's you know, people try things. I remember Guardiola against Chelsea in the Champions League.
Oh yeah,
played without a number 6 and a number 9, and Chelsea beat them 1-0. He never did that again, ever.
Yeah. Well, this is where Ange should have learned his lessons and adapted, but he just doesn't.
He doesn't. No, you're right.
I think.
Well, hang on a second. Let me just counter that a little bit, because I don't know if Ange's system would work throughout a season. But then I haven't seen it work for a season where we've had a decent amount of fit players to play it throughout a whole entire season, and none of you or any other Spurs fans. So we're going on last season, like when we got substitute centre backs and things like that, and we're condemning his system, right? If you don't like the system, that's fine. If you don't like inverted fullbacks like Danny, that's fine. I ain't got a problem with people disagreeing with me on that. But we haven't seen enough of it. And because you lose a game and people get very emo, so it's 3 games into a new season. Last season was like an injury fest, right? And a suspension fest. Bassoon was suspended 3 times. Romero suspended once. Maddison was injured. Bentancur was injured. Right, VDV was injured, and the system's condemned. Well, I don't think the system's been given a fair crack of the whip. Now, I'm not saying I will agree with the system at the end of this season. This is why I said I'll give this system the whole season and Ange this season, because I want to see, and I've seen improvements in link-up play and things like that. But I want to see if it does work consistently to be a progressive system or not. And if it's not, I would say so. But I haven't seen enough.
The other thing also, Adrian, is that for me, and I think we all agreed, we should have had 9 points this season because our performances deserve that. We just haven't. You're
basing on possession, then probably, but
you know, we haven't finished off teams when we've got them on the ropes. You know, the Leicester and Newcastle should have won all 3 games. And
Leicester should have been out of sight in the first half.
Completely.
That should have been out of sight.
They've sorted out the set pieces, Phil. If you look, we're not in trouble at corners. We're creating more at free kicks. The free kick today, as Ellie said, the ball pulled back with the shot was excellent. You know, we didn't have anything like that last season. So dead ball kicks, there's massive improvement this season. I don't like the system that they play. I think they play far too high a line. Even allowing for Van der Ven's pace, it puts too much pressure on his hamstrings. You know, he's always making those sharp electric sprints. You know, he could be cold. You've got VAR for 5 minutes. Players' muscles are cold. You know, they contract. You know, no wonder these players are injured so much. You know, it's high intensity football. You can't keep going unless you've got a massive squad, and you've got to keep rotating. And he doesn't really rotate, does he? He doesn't.
I just don't see anything fresh. It's all the same every game.
That's the problem. If you look at it, when you watch the system, it's kamikaze with 2 defenders. But the problem we have is the midfield isn't holding the ball as it should. The wingers are losing it too often. I mean, Kulu had a shocking game today with his passing. Most of his passing was behind a player. You all shouted out for him to be playing through the middle. We've played him through the middle, and he was shocking. And Romero was shocking. But you look at the front end, and we're all saying we can't, we've got a crap front three and blah, blah, blah. But by the amount of shots on target and the amount of shots and the amount of touches in the box showed that we're doing something right. We're just not finishing. That's the problem.
What we need is someone who can hold the ball like a Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
Keep possession, draw fouls.
I think Kulu does that. I think he holds the ball up well for us.
He does hold the ball, but it's passing.
I just felt sorry for Kulusevski today because when he was up front, he had no supply, literally.
I think he brings a lot of good play to a team.
Well. He was dropping back behind Sonny at some points, and every time he got the ball, he passed it behind the player.
I think
the front line. I think the front line was unbalanced today. I just think.
It was weird. Yeah, it was weird.
We don't have quality there. That's why.
That's what I was saying about Solanke. I think if we had that focal point up top, a proper number 9, I think you would have seen the front.
I think we still would have been in trouble.
Well, this comes back to my point.
Go on, Mark.
This comes back to my point that if you buy 5 players for 120 million, you're not going to get the quality.
If we'd have only bought 2 players, we'd have been short on squad.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they would have walked into the first team though, right, and improved us straight away, and then we could have brought the likes of these promising youngsters that we got.
Which two would you have bought?
Eze for a start.
Right.
He would improve us. He would improve us 1,000,000% from anything we've got up top. And the other big one we bought was Solanke, and he's unfortunately.
I'm saying, who would you have bought though? Who would you? All the players we've been linked with.
Personally, I would have bought. Eze definitely, because he walks into our first team. And who's the guy that went from Villa? No, he went to Villa from Everton. He's a number 6.
Oh yeah, Onana, yeah.
He's a number 6. I would have bought him, and he would have. Well, not that Ange plays with a 6, but I would have made him bloody play with a 6 because you can see how open our defence is. I would have sat him in there, and then we could have dropped into a back 3. And
so, what is the exact reason we didn't sign Eze then?
We didn't.
Who knows? Do you know?
Exactly. We don't know if he wanted to come. We don't know.
Well, of course he wanted.
He wanted to come.
Of course he wanted to come. Of course he wanted to come.
Let me finish first. We don't know if he wanted to come. We don't know if.
I do. He wanted to come. So
we don't know if his terms was too much. We don't know if.
No.
It was widely reported in the press. There was a £60 million release clause.
And we were.
I know that. Yeah, but
and you had to pay 50 up front. And you had to pay 50 up front.
We don't know what we had to pay up front because
50 it was.
The beginning of the transfer window was probably less up front towards the end once they'd got rid of everybody else. So there is a lot of other factors that came into play. If he is so good as well, why did no other Prem team go for him? I mean, I'm not saying he isn't a good player before you come back at me because I know he's a good player, but there must be a reason we didn't sign him. And it's not down to the money because we had the money to buy him.
No. It's because Daniel wouldn't pay the 50 million up front.
We don't know that.
Well, allegedly.
That's the reason though, Soren.
Allegedly.
If he wanted to come, I can't imagine his wages would have broke our wage structure.
Right. Yeah. I can't imagine.
Wages. It wasn't wages.
There has got to be more.
Wages were the problem. So
it was down to Mark is correct. It was down to the negotiations.
There were talks.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Correct.
And it wasn't our fault.
This is what I'm saying. That there had to be more than just Daniel Levy didn't want to pay the money. It's not always as blind or as straightforward as Levy is.
Correct. Correct. You cannot always get a transfer over the line.
No.
But for us, it's more times we don't than we do.
It maybe is, and I get where the argument comes in that a lot of the time it might be Daniel Levy.
We don't get them over the line.
Yeah, but Anne, as this year we have been categorically told that it is not down to Levy to do all the transfers. So therefore, there is a team now in place to do these transfers. Now, but yet everybody still wants to come back and blame Levy.
No,
My argument is
Soren. He is involved in everything.
Oh, I know he is.
He is as hands-on. He is as hands-on as any CEO in world football.
Yeah, I know. But the point is, he is not involved from day one. He will come in at a point where it is probably nearly ready to sign, or to the point where it gets right. This is the deal that we've got in place. Are you happy to let it go forward? What's to say it got to that point? Now, I'm not saying that Levy is perfect before anybody comes on about it. I don't care whether he stays or goes. My argument is that every time something goes wrong, it's Levy's fault. Every time something goes right, it's never Levy's fault. Okay. This is the problem, that there is no consistency.
What's gone right, Soren?
You mean goes right?
You've got me there.
That's fair comment. My position is, and I've made it quite clear on Spaces and a lot of other podcasts, I've followed the club, as you know, since, as I said to you before, since the mid-60s. I've been there with the glory days. I've been there when we were breaking transfer records with Paul Gascoigne at 2.2 million. We were beating United to his signature. We pulled, Ozzy and Ricky came across.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was groundbreaking. I've been there with the fantastic times. I was watching Gazza's documentary. We had a proper football team with owners that wanted footballing success. Yeah. That hasn't been the case since 2001.
Yeah, 100%.
They are more interested in profit. They're only interested in profit. What I am amazed about is that our best ever year for profit was the year we reached the Champions League final. The club made 138 million net. I think it was net. So it showed that footballing and financial success correlates. Cannot believe they only go so far. They never go the whole hog. They're very risk averse.
Yeah.
Now listen, it's their business. They're entitled to run it as they see fit.
So why would any manager do any different under their tenure?
They will walk on. They will sell their club for 4 billion or whatever they want, 5 billion. I think they've laid out 220 million for all the shares and all the share issues, etc. They will walk off with the most fantastic profit. They've done a fantastic job as far as ENIC are concerned. They will leave the fans with nothing. Nothing. Yeah. We'll look back and say 1 trophy in 20-something years. And life's about memories. And for me, someone said to me, "What are your best memories?" I remember I'm in the Supporters Trust, and they had several press correspondents. They had Ali Golding, they had Michael Bridge. I'm trying to think who the others were. They had Charlie Eccleshare, and there was a fourth. Can't think who it was. And all the members of the trust could ask the panel a question. And I said to them, "What are your 3 main? What's your favourite? What's your favourite memory?" Believe me, we haven't got that many. 3 of them said the last day of White Hart Lane, and another one said Amsterdam with Lucas Moore's hat trick. You look at all the big clubs. Look at Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, United, and City, and look at the days and the seasons that they have had since ENIC took over.
Yeah. FA Cup finals, Champions League finals.
I feel cheated. This is a fantastic club. There is no museum at the club. There are no statues outside. You've got NFL up on the side, up on the wall on the high street. This is a football club. They are watering down our football club. It's all about making money. Yeah. They should have gone out for me. Someone said in May, who would you buy? Eze, Paulinho, Isak. Changes the whole thing. You're challenging them with those players.
Yeah. I wanted Eze and a left back. We still ain't got the left back. But
okay, but
my two main fixtures, whereas on the left back.
Okay, the shame is they want to get rid of Reguilon because I personally think that he is good enough and he played well for Brentford and United in the Premier League last year. Why are we getting rid of him? I understand he wants first team football, but he would be perfect as cover for Udogie. Mm-hmm. But for me, so I put my colours to the mast. That's how I feel about my club. I feel cheated for most of the last 23 years because I just want us to be competitive. I want us to be in the game. No guarantee you're going to win trophies. Very difficult with teams like Man City. But let's be competitive. Let's be in the game. You know, we're talking about this mistake, that mistake. We've got 4 points out of 9. Ange hasn't been backed. No manager's been backed. Every manager's set up to fail, and this will carry on till we get new owners. Whatever we want to say, you know, we want to, as fans, we want to dream that we're going to win. I want to dream that I'm going to be in Bilbao in May and we're going to win the Europa League. For me, that's the only trophy we've got any chance.
It started. Our expectations were raised, and rightly so, when we had Redknapp and when we had Joel and all that, and they started getting us into Europe because we were that low in the old club and we couldn't compete with a 30,000 crowd when others are getting 60,000. Their finances were that much higher than us. We couldn't pay the wages. But eventually we started to crawl our way and we thought, oh, if we got Europa League, we were thrilled to bits because we got European football, you know. We hadn't had it for a while. And then we get the expectations raised under Poch. And then
well, it was Redknapp that got us Champions League.
Yeah,
it was Redknapp.
I know. Champions League. And like we get to the Champions League final, and the fan base, half the fan base turned on Poch, right? When Poch wasn't backed, as Ian said, and when he did get backed, he didn't even sign Lo Celso because he got fully signed under Mourinho. He was on loan until then, and then he got Ndembele, but that was too late. He was backed. He was given 2 very expensive players too late. It needed doing when we were in a better chance to when we could have won that title. We could have won it twice, right?
You got to remember, Adrian. You got to remember when we were at the prime of our nearliness. I'll call it that, nearliness. Right, the year Leicester won it and the year Chelsea won it. That's the time we went 517 days without signing anybody, and 2 or 3 players would have won us both of them leagues.
Let's not forget though that Poch also in that period of not signing anybody turned players down and said he didn't want players coming in to upset the team that was already in place. So again, I agree with what you're saying, but let's put it into context that it's not all Daniel Levy's
fault. He did want Grealish though, and we faffed around with that one.
I mean, we could have had Grealish if we'd have bid 3 or 4 million more. We could have had Grealish.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but again, we're basing it on one player we could have had that we didn't, and I agree with you.
But he could have been a massive game changer for us.
Biggest mistake. I'm agreeing with you, but what I'm also saying is that you know people come out and say, "Oh, we didn't sign anybody," but Poch was offered players. Now, whether it was players he wanted or whether it was players Levy wanted, I don't know. But the point is, he could have had players and he turned them down. So we can't just sit here and say, oh, well, we didn't sign.
So then doesn't that make Ange yes man then? Because he said yes to everyone.
Yeah.
Soren, we had Mane. The year we lost to Chelsea with 86 points, the last year at the Lane, we had Mane down at the club before anybody else.
Yeah, he went to the training ground, didn't he? Yeah.
Sorry?
He went to the training ground.
Yeah. He went to the training ground.
Yeah.
He wanted. He would have joined. He wanted It was a question of the club not raising the wage limits. Kane's always been the top earner. He wouldn't raise the money. I think it was probably about 30 grand a week. Can you imagine if Mane had played? Do you not think we'd have made up those 7 points on Chelsea?
Exactly.
We wanted Mane, Batshuayi, Wijnaldum. We got Sissoko.
Mane was first. Zaha, then Wijnaldum. I mean, this is all in the press.
It's fact.
Zaha came in after, and they finished up with Sissoko on transfer deadline day.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not disagreeing.
Believe me, Poch wasn't backed.
He was back, but what I'm saying is that
he wasn't back.
Saying we didn't sign anybody, he was off. You know, there was chances to sign players. Now there might not have been the right player, but you know, we can't just sit here and say, well, we didn't sign anybody and that was the whole story. This is what I'm saying, that there was a point where he was offered players. He did have the chance.
What if he was offered crap players, though?
I'm not saying that, but the point is that when we sit there, I mean, it's like William. We
right.
you know, we were about to sign him, and then Chelsea bung him.
Can you also remember? Can you also remember the when we could have had Bruno Fernandes and we ended up with bloody Gedson?
Because he didn't want to come. He went to Man United instead.
Wrong.
No, you're wrong.
Offered 10 million euros less. Bruno thought he was coming to Spurs.
He thought he was coming to Tottenham. He packed his bags.
There was a buyout clause. We offered 10 million less. Deal went down.
Yeah.
Right, guys.
I can only go on the interview that he gave where he said he wanted to choose Man United over Tottenham. So
no, it's nothing to do with Man United. Spurs were in months before Man United.
Oh, I know we were, but he came out and said he wanted to go to United.
Well, why would he not say that? He's playing for Man United.
Exactly.
No.
He wouldn't say,
the way I see it is, right, the way I see it is we failed. All right, you're raking over old coals there about old, and I agree with a lot of the arguments about players we should have brought in, right? Because I wanted us to improve back then as well, right? But in my opinion, this is just my opinion, we have failed much better in the transfer market recently, right? We've torn up the script at the club, time in the academy. The academy the year before last, the under-21s were getting relegated, right? Dean Rastrick went, they broke the pay structure in the academy because we weren't getting the best players in because we weren't willing to pay the money, right? We changed all the staff around, all the coaching staff. I can name them all. I've got them in my head. Right?
Who should organise that, Adrian?
Paratici.
Absolutely.
Paratici needs a lot of credit for what he's done.
Did a fantastic job.
Believe the sack he had.
Who brought Paratici in?
Well,
yes, Lee probably his best
one of the things he got right? Because even the guys, even though he had his money like brown envelopes or whatever it was, you know, he's done his time now. It wouldn't surprise me he ended back in the club in one capacity or another, or maybe just stays as a consultant to keep it clean.
That's what he's allowed to do.
So what involvement does he have? Basically, what we've had to do since Poch has gone, really. Because it was a mess under Mourinho, Conte, and Nuno and all, Papa Smurf, right? It was a mess under them. We've had to tear up the script, and what happened was we were left with a bloated squad. Couple of stars there, you know, Kane and Son. We were left with a bloated squad of useless players, right? Or players that had given up. You know, this is nice here, nice and comfy, 5-star surroundings. You know, nice fat wages. You know, and with that. And now it looks like when Reguilon goes, whether it's on loan in the next 2 weeks or we have to keep him until January when it can sign for another club, we've got rid of all the ones, right, that most fans would want to get rid of. There's some now that people would probably want to get rid of Richarlison, Johnson and Werner, Spence if he don't hit his straps, even Basuma and all that. But they're with the squad now. They're with us now. So we are where we are with the squad, right? Now, I think there's been improvements at the club. Now, there are those that want that just because they have a different agenda will say, no, there hasn't, or whatever. Fair enough. That's their opinion. But I think there have been physical improvements at the club through the whole footballing structure there has been. In theory, Scott Munn, and it's a committee that, look, please, using the chat, I know this works, right? It's a committee that brings in players. Never in a million years is one manager, I don't care if he's Conte or even if he's Mourinho, right, and he's at Barcelona or Real Madrid. No, there's no way in a million years they trust any manager with the risk assessment of all the transfer money to go out and get who they want. It doesn't work that way. It never has.
But how about Ferguson?
The difference at Spurs is, though, no, the point is with someone like Eze is, if you agree it all and your recruitment team, which would be Left, it would be Frederick Left, it would be Johan Langer, Rob McKenzie, the chief scout, you got Max Levis, the first team scout, then you'd have Ange and all that. Let's sit down, see what they can get in. If they can't get in, Ange says, I want this type of player. They go and do all the data analysis. They get the list, they draw the list of players up, they go to him like, okay, this player won't come, won't get that club, won't sell, blah, blah, blah. And then they have to settle for a player. And most of the times you're not going to get your first choice in if other clubs are playing Champions League football and things like that. Or in January, when clubs are fighting relegation or competing for cup competitions, they're not going to sell. So January is the worst transfer window in a million years. It's only a month long as well. Doesn't work like that. But with someone like Eze, who I'd love, when Langer spoke to Crystal Palace, so there must have been an agreement with the player. So by the time Langer goes back to Levy and then says, or Scott Munn goes back to Levy and says, they want all the money up front, Levy probably laughed. He probably said, that's not happening. I mean, what did they put down on Solanke? We rumours anything from 25 to 35 mil.
I think it's 30 million, wasn't it?
Right.
Well, they tapped up bloody they tapped up Eze in a box, didn't they?
Either. Palace didn't need the money.
Oh, all right.
So it doesn't work out. When people say these are Ange signings or the yes men, they are committee signings. It's done by the recruitment team. It's not.
Adrian, let me ask you a question.
Ange hasn't got time to go and look.
No, you got no hope of getting a word in.
Adrian, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Barisic did a great job. Did a fabulous job. Changed the whole situation. When he turned up, the scouting network, I've been told, was a joke. He's put the scouting network in place. We've got kids joining us now that weren't joining us beforehand. Done a fantastic job for the academy. We've got great kids. It's the best set of kids coming through for me that I can remember since the days of Nicky Barmby, Darren Caskey, etc., in the late 80s, early 90s. It may be even better. You had Paratici, you had Gabbianini, and you had Steinson. So he brings in Scott Munn, who is not a football person. He's not a football person. Scott Munn brings in Lange, and Gabbianini and Steinson are gone. So you've brought in a great team, and you've dismantled it.
I suppose the thing is, when does Paratici's ban end?
It must be.
Well, is he still banned? Is he still banned, or is he?
Banned. Yeah, he's still banned.
He's allowed to be a consultant, isn't he?
He's allowed to be a consultant, but he can't be involved with the deals.
He's been seen at games, though. Like, there's pictures of him at games. So he's obviously there in some capacity, just behind the scenes.
But the problem with Paratici, and I think he was the best thing to happen to the club for a long, long time, that obviously you get that ban. So you've got to change some things. Now, they've obviously gone down a different route. The hindsight would be, had he not got his ban, had he not been as dirty as he was, then maybe things would be different and we would be signing different players and all. We just don't know. Now,
but he did recommend Edison to Spurs, I heard.
I didn't
do anything about that.
When you look at a lot of things, Paratici, for me, Paratici, like I've said, and like Ian,
he's maybe one of them.
He has been an amazing difference within the club. And then you suddenly see it all getting ripped apart and you think, why? Now, the only thing I can, that you come up with is that because of the ban, Levy had to go a different way. Now, you kind of look at it and think, why didn't he just do as a makeshift? But you go back to when he got banned and everybody was like, get him out of the club. He shouldn't be working for us. We don't want him. We don't want this. We don't want that. And then, when those that look at it, you see how good a job he did. And like you say, Gabbiadini and people like that, they should never have been allowed to leave the club.
Why didn't he get the job? Why didn't Gabbianini get the job that Lange got?
The only thing I can imagine with that is that maybe I don't know. I assume that they looked at it and thought he wasn't ready or whatever. I don't know. You might know more than me on that one.
I assume he wasn't a yes man.
Well, no, I don't think it's. You keep saying that, and I think you can't just be surrounded by yes men. And even Daniel Levy's not that stupid to just think I've got to have all yes men. You've got to have somebody that challenges you. And
nobody challenges him.
No, but I don't mean challenge.
I've been told no one on the board challenges him. It's his baby.
They must do because we would have had Poch back otherwise.
It's like Paul Mitchell. What Paul Mitchell said about Levy as well. If he was to the club, I'm sure the players would be of far better quality than there is now. 100%. Paul Mitchell the best.
He described his job, a dream job turned into a nightmare because of league, basically.
Yeah.
What they've done
exactly
is they've restructured the club, and when new faces are coming and been given different designations, other existing people either were intending to leave beforehand anyway, or didn't want to work under the new system, so they went. I mean, if you look at Johan Langer, he come from Villa. He brings Frederick Leff with him as head of strategy. He brings Milo Jedinik with him, who was with him with Australia football team there, who was doing a lot of the loans at Villa as well, Jedinik, apart from the coaching stuff. So those three come in. You know, then like the other coach leaves and goes to manage Birmingham, right? And Matty Wells gets head coach, right? Ex-Spurs player. You get him. And then you've got Ryan Mason, who was already there with Millie Jennings, three of them. They bring in Serge Raimundo in and Nick Montgomery from Australia Mariners. They won out there. And those two managed in Scotland. They managed Hibs and the Scottish under-21s, are very highly rated coaches, brought them in. And we had a lot of fans going on, we're sorting out set pieces. Well, them two are doing that now. We've seen it, right? And they've started to do things there, because when people kept saying bringing a set piece coach, hang about what your other coaches doing? That was what are they doing? We've got so many. I mean, what are they all doing, right? You've got Rob Birch is another one. He's the additional, but he's the goalkeeping coach. Then you go down to the head of the under-21s. I forget his name. Stuart Lewis has got the under-18s, and I forget. Wayne Burnett, that's it, the under-21s coach, you know. And the whole structure at that level in the football club has changed. Now, to me, and Paratici had a lot to do with it. And to me, it's changed from the better. The season before last, the under-17s and 18s both won both the League Cups. Last season, the under-21s win the league and they win the playoff trophy as well. You know, now quite a few of those players are farmed out. I don't expect the under-21s to do as well, right?
They're virtually all gone, Adrian. The whole lot's virtually gone.
No, only a few of them. I mean, like Ashley Phillips has gone out. Matey's gone. Craig, what's his name's gone? Matthew Craig's gone.
Abbott's gone. Donnelly's gone.
Abbott's gone to Notts County. Yeah, I mean, like I say, Phillips went to Stoke. Donnelly's gone to Orient with Josh Keeley. Yeah, there's a chunk of them have gone, but they had a lot.
I'm surprised Devine hasn't gone. To be honest,
well, he was going to go out on loan, and that deal fell through at the last month. They may still get a loan for him because you've got one of the Scandinavian leagues, the Turkish leagues, and all. He's not going to go to Saudi, but they're still going. So if they could get him a loan in Scandinavia or something, and I think you can still do loans once the transfer window's shut. I'd have to check.
As I said to you on the phone, Adrian, I don't give a monkeys about the under-21s. It's the first, like the under-21s could get relegated. For all I care, it's the first team that I care about. You know, and we have not improved the first team with the proven quality to take us to the next level.
Well, my argument with you on that was, I mean, like, you can't say anything of yet, as much as I like, and to be honest, I know very little about Odegaard and Solanke, but I know a lot more about Graham Bergvall because I've watched these players, right? I've watched Gray before, and I've watched a lot of video of Bergvall before he come to this club, right? More so, and I know very little about Odegaard, and to be honest, I know Solanke got 19 goals last year, but I probably watched him twice. If he played in both games again, I can't even remember.
He scored against us, I think.
Right. And the reason I rate him, like I said to you, Mark, it wasn't, I'm saying, making great. I mean, I believe there'll be stars, but that's only my belief, right?
Well, we need it now, though, Adrian. We don't need it next year or the year after.
As I said, do you believe with these signings we're treading water, going backwards or going forwards? You said we were going backwards or something. I said
no. I said we were treading water. I said we were treading water, which in effect, if the ones behind you and level with you are moving forward, in effect, Einstein's theory of general relativity, if you're standing still, you're going backwards.
Okay, all right.
You know what I mean?
Hold on, let me finish, guys, because this is important. So I turned around and said, and I've said it on a few podcasts, and people want to stick labels on me. I said to Mark on the phone, I wish it was a Greek wedding when it pin money on instead of labels, right? Pinning labels on me, pin money on me. Yeah. And I said, well, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, Graham Bergvall, now I know the players I'm going to mention play in different positions, are technically much better than Davies, Skip, and Emerson Royal. So
And Højbjerg.
and Højbjerg. So if we've got them in our squad, to me, we're between treading water and progressing with these players. And and we all know that you ain't going to see them straight away. Football doesn't work that way, right? It's not like back in the 70s when Odell and Perrin were thrown in at 17-year-olds, right? When I watched them have a debut, it's not like that. But like now, it's the question of now. I get why people want to have a pop at I get that. I'd have liked an Eze. I'd have liked what I call an oven-ready player in. I wasn't happy when Brennan Johnson come in. I wasn't happy with, and like the discussion today, it's not, the system is all right if we can finish our dinner. Because last year, even though we finished 5th, we had 30-odd big chances in games. If we'd have buried 10 of them, we'd have finished 3rd. Under this system, not for.
And that's down to the quality we didn't buy, really.
Yes.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with that. If something's factual and someone substantiates what they say, but when people just throw something to sneer or just sneer at something, I mean, the Gray and Bergvall today, although Bergvall coming in, I've got really where's the real link between that and the game today? You can come in and argue, but you're trying to conflate the fact that we've brought in youngsters that, well, if they're that good, why didn't we win this game today? Why weren't they picked? Well, they weren't picked because Ange didn't choose to pick the players. I mean, that's the only reason. He picks a team to win a game of football. But it's not like these youngsters, it's not the 2 or 3 years. They didn't pay £30 million for Odegaard and £40-odd million for Gray, and stick them in the reserves like in the old days. Liverpool, they'd stick them in the reserves for 2 years. These kids are going to play this season,
Can I ask Mark a question? Because Mark, you just said you don't care about the under-21s. We got a kid coming through who's playing under-21s at the moment, Mikey Moore.
Yes.
Okay, so part that as one part of my conversation. Then I'll move on to Arsenal and talk about a longer term project where it's taken them several years to get to where they've got to. Right. Thirdly, if we'd have bought 2 or 3 that I wanted, which I mean we were never going to get Isak, but sometimes you've got to build over several years. Sometimes it's a question.
Rebuilds have we done, Ian? This is
I personally think. I think in 12 months' time, I'm going to be really excited about what's going to happen with Spurs. We're going to have Mikey Moore coming through. Donnelly hopefully would have come on that much. Lancashire, I think, is going to be a beast. Tyrese Hall will be that much closer to the first team. He's a slick player who's under 21s at the moment. You've got so many good kids. And I think it's important that we have kids coming through the conveyor belt, because they're spending a fortune. Mark, if you're running the club, you're spending millions on an academy. Yeah. You want to see results from it, don't you?
Of course.
So it's important that these players are coming through.
Well,
yeah, but
hang on a minute. Just let me answer. Just let me answer.
Go on,
right.
Go on.
Right, because Ian directed the question at me after all. Right, before everyone else jumps in. Right. When I said I don't care about the under-21s, that's a bit wrong, really, because I do care about the under-21s and I want to see the conveyor belt come through. But also, with the under-21s, I'd like to see them all go out on loan, get the experience playing men's football, be it in League 2, League 1, Championship, wherever they decide that they're up to in their development. And if that means our under-21 team has got to suffer and you've got to play the under-18s, then so be it. That's what I was getting at. When I said I didn't care about the under-21s, I care enough that I want these players to be out on loan, get the experience, and then come back and affect the first team. Be challenging to get in.
Can I just answer that, Soren? You've got to have the right clubs for the players to go out.
Of course.
Veliz went to Seville last year, hardly played.
Well, it's a waste of time him going now.
Waste of time. Scarlett went to Ipswich, hardly played. Waste of time.
Yeah.
Completely set back their careers. Their progression. So we've got to make sure Donnelly is, I've been told, Donnelly was man in the match the other Saturday for the Orient against Birmingham, and he's come in And a friend of mine who goes regularly turned around and said that his through balls were fantastic.
Yeah.
But they are too clever for the forwards that they've got. So that gives you an idea.
Didn't Villiers get the winner?
Yeah, that's right, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2-1.
What I'd like to see, what I'd like to see with the under 21s is, I'm not sure how they'd structure it, but when they send them out on loan, give the club that they're on loan to an incentive to pay them. You know, say to them, look, if they make like half the games you play, if they make like half the league game appearances, we'll pay like
an extra
an extra percentage of his wage, or give the clubs an incentive to play them.
The argument here is, I mean, you've just said that, like with some of these under 21s, let's get them sent out to Championship Division 1, Division 2.
Well, it depends what they're ready for.
But then we go and buy the best young talent from the Championship, and it's not good enough. So
it's not good enough. It's not good enough for our team at the moment. They're not going to come in and improve.
This is what we're saying, though, that where you say, well, yes, we haven't improved our team. I agree with you for the first 11. No, I agree with you for the first 11, but we have in a sense because we've got Solanke in there, who's better than Richarlison in theory. But we have improved the squad.
How?
How?
Spencer's better than Emerson. Let's start with that.
You can't make that judgment until the end of the season, until we've got a big sample size of them playing.
No,
it's a massive assumption.
We've got no idea if these young players are going to pitch up.
Right, let's compare last year to this year. So we had Richarlison as our starting striker. So who did we have to replace Richarlison on the bench?
Actually, Son was our starting striker last season.
Only because he was injured. Richarlison would have been the starting striker. If Richarlison's fit, say the whole team's fit.
Most of our fan base are against Richarlison.
If Richarlison starts as a striker, who is our backup to Richarlison?
Well, it is. We didn't have one last year. What we've got this year.
Sorry, we have Solanke and we've got Richie as a backup. So therefore,
no, you're going to have Lancashire as a. I think Lancashire. I think Richie's injury prone. Yeah. Lancashire, his stats last year. Listen.
But Ian, what I'm trying to say.
It's all speculation, Soren. But until we see them play, it's all speculation.
Right now, Lancashire's a one-season wonder for me, anyway.
No, let me finish because I did say if all the players are fit, that last year we had no backup to our striker. This year we have backup to our striker.
Yeah.
So therefore, then if we go to the wing, we had Brian Hill on the wing.
Yeah.
He's better than Brian Hill for a start.
Solanke out of all of them is the only one has made a slight improvement on our squad.
I hope so.
No, on the 11.
Bergvall for me, I can see the quality in Bergvall. I'm not had enough size of Gray at the moment of making a decision to him that he's going to be, this star for us. I mean, you have to give these players time to give them at least a season for them to bed in and see what they've got. But Solanke, out of the 6 players, I mean, Yamin Hook, is it?
Yeah, the creative. Not anyway.
We just don't know yet.
But
Solanke is a slight improvement on our transfer window in our squad.
Yeah.
My concern last year when we finished 5th, and I said it on loads of podcasts, the fact was our midfield was pants. There was no aggression in the side, and our forward line was pants, our front 3. And the reason I kept banging on about it was because since 1992 in the organisation of the Premier League, on average, then it took about 82 goals to win the league. In the last 10 seasons, Man City have won it 7 times now, I think, 6-7 times. And they raised the bar because they scored 101 goals in 106. I mean, Arsenal scored 90 goals last season and couldn't win the league, come second. And when I looked at our team last year, before we even got Solanke in and all that, I know why Ange wanted a number 9 and a wide player. And let's hope and pray that they hit it off. Because when you look at our team, where are we getting 90 goals from? and then people want to get rid of Son, who's the only one that can score 15 goals for
Then we signed Werner,
it doesn't make
for another
sense.
season.
Sorry?
But then we signed Werner for another season.
Well, that is an Ange signing, because if you we'll come to the start of questions, and I'll explain what I know about the system. I'm not a coach, you know.
In theory, though, Adrian, that your argument there is kind of flawed to a point that you don't need to score that many goals if you're not conceding. If you win every game 1-0, you've won the league. Unless somebody else goes and win it 2-0 before you tell me. But if you won every game and went unbeaten, and you won every game 1-0, you don't need 100 goals. So it's all right saying that, but it all depends on what you concede. If we concede 60 goals, then in theory, we've got to probably score 120 maybe to win the league, because we've conceded more than, say, City would have done. But the problem is that we're not in a position, and it wouldn't have mattered had we signed 1 or 2 players, we still wouldn't be winning the league. We are a long way from winning the league.
No, but we probably would have got more chance to win a trophy.
Yeah, because I get where you come from with that argument, but winning a trophy also depends on luck. You could have a run right to the final and play basically nobody almost. And then you could have got an Eze, and you could have got a Tony, and you could have got a whoever in, and have Man City in the first game. You just don't, there is a lot.
Well, we beat them anyway.
Pardon?
We always beat them. We always beat them anyway.
We used to
always
last
beat season,
them.
didn't we?
Well, apart from last year.
But the argument is, with winning a cup, you've got to have an element of luck within it as well. You've got to have the draw. If we draw City in the League Cup and the FA Cup, say, first round, for argument's sake, then there's chances that it doesn't matter who's playing for us.
What
we
was the
could be
chance
out.
you draw City, though? It would be a very slim chance, wouldn't it?
Pardon?
One team. We're talking one team out of how many teams for you to draw City?
But knowing us, or Chelsea then. The point is that depending on your draw,
game, surely
depending on your draw, we could argue that the team that we have now could go to the final.
But sorry, how did we win the 08 League Cup?
Then
we beat Chelsea. Okay, Mourinho wasn't there, but we beat Chelsea, who were arguably the best team in the country at the time, didn't we?
Yeah.
In the 08 League Cup final, right? So on the day we could, but that's because we had some quality strikers back then. We had at least some wide players. We had a Ledley King.
Buying 2 players does not guarantee you the win.
Woodgate and King as the centre halves that day.
But buying 2 players would not guarantee us. This is what I'm trying to say.
But we don't give don't give don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of Ange, right? But we don't give the manager the best possible chance to win the trophy with the transfer business we do every single season.
Well, then maybe the fact of buying Eze didn't suit what Ange wanted.
Oh,
if Ange turned on Eze,
I'm not saying that, Mark.
Oh, come on, innit?
I'm not saying that Eze wouldn't improve us.
He said
what
yes
I am
to
saying
no
is
to Eze,
maybe
we've got
he
major
didn't.
issues then.
Pardon?
If you're telling me, implying to me he didn't want Eze for so
I didn't say that.
No, I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying
maybe
not deducing it from this logic, then we got more problems than we think we have if he said no to Eze.
We have got more problems than we think. I don't disagree with that, but we come out and we say, oh well, we should have bought Eze, we should have bought Tony. Well, the argument says, maybe Ange didn't want some of these players. I'm not saying he didn't want Eze, and I'm not saying he didn't want.
Then he signed Werner, though.
Maybe Ange wanted Werner. That's
then we got problems. Then if he wanted Werner,
I'm not arguing with you.
What I didn't understand about the Werner deal was it's a loan situation. I don't know why he didn't put it on the back burner.
I think he goes for free. I think the season after this one.
No, it was 8 million or something, isn't it? It's a real cheap fee if we want to buy him.
No, yeah. It was quoted that he was on 165 grand a week for the year on loan and no loan fee. I would question. I wouldn't think that Levy would pay the full amount of wages. I would think they probably negotiated it could be 4 or 5 million. But whatever the wage is, it's small fry. My point is that you look around and you see we want a winger. Who are we going to buy? They bought Odebear, who I think from the first 2 games his potential. He's not ready for the first team in the Premier League. He may have been great for Burnley, completely different situation. I think but like when Johnson came from Forest to Spurs, it's a big step up. He could be very good. The kids, I don't think he's ready just yet. But you look at it. For me, Brian Mbeumo from Brentford would have been the player to have gone on and spent the money.
Quality.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, even Chiesa, that's a no-brainer for me. I mean, Liverpool got a good player on their hands there. If they can keep him fit, this is what I understand. He's a seasoned pro. He's a winner. We need that type of players in our team.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've said for a long time, Chiesa would be an absolute fantastic player for us. But again, it obviously wasn't down to money because it was peanuts. So there has to be a reason we didn't go for them. There has to be.
Poor recruitment.
No, I mean you don't need a good recruitment team to know whether Chiesa's a good player or not.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Ange just come out and he's said this publicly that about certain players coming to this club, he actually speaks to them, and it's how they are as a player, as a person as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So there is things that obviously in the background that we sort of don't know about with what Ange wants as a team. Do you know what I mean? With certain players coming to the club. So, he wants a certain type of player. It's like Solanke. He presses. He's one of the best pressing strikers in the league. And he wanted him for his system, for it to work. Do you know what I mean? So he wants a certain type of player. And that's probably why he don't...
I mean, let's face it, right? Odegaard's come in. And yes, he's looked promising. Right? Sort of. But what did he do today? Absolutely nothing. He's not ready for the first team. We could have spent that money and added a bit to it and got someone who was ready.
I know, but he's 19, Mark. Let's give him a little bit more time than that. Do you know what I mean?
What, sorry?
He's 19 years of age. He's not going to have great games every week. Do you know what I mean? But to be honest, even the two he has played, he's virtually done nothing.
The point is with Odegaard, in theory, he's been brought in to kind of be the backup to Son. So if our strikers were playing, then Odegaard wouldn't be playing, would he?
Sorry?
If we had Solanke playing today, Odegaard wouldn't have been starting.
It's debatable actually, because I think he might play on the right.
But to be honest, Son isn't effective on the left anymore.
Yeah, that's another issue.
Yeah.
But that's the point that I was saying.
Which is why I said earlier, if we were a big club and acted like a big club and thought like a big club, then we would have planned for Son's replacement years ago.
Either, really, because we had how many years?
Well, exactly, and that as well.
We need a backup for Kane. We need, but this guy won't come and sit on the bench, and this guy won't come to the bench.
I'll tell you now. The day that we signed Richarlison, I said, I forget which podcast it was on. I said on a podcast that is Harry's replacement.
I actually remember it. Yeah,
that is Harry's replacement.
The problem with that is, though, I think you hit the nail on the head. You've got Harry Kane, which is arguably one of the best strikers in the world, who with any balls or whatever is going to come in and sit behind Harry Kane if they're in the prime of their career. This is the problem that we had.
What we should have done, Soren, is buy like a young upcoming striker, like 22, 23.
Sorry. I look at Liverpool's front line, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, Liverpool's front line is sick.
They've got 6 players there that they sort of interchange, rotate. That's what you've got to have in a team that meets.
The big difference there, though. But the big difference there is, and I know it comes back to the same old argument. If you're comparing the strikers for Liverpool and the strikers for Tottenham, you've got one glaring difference. Liverpool are winning cups. Liverpool are winning titles. Players will come to sit on the bench for that
Sorry,
type
at
of
the
kick.
same time, they dropped 70 million on Van Dijk, and how much?
But
80 million on Alisson.
But this is what I'm saying.
Has they got 105 for Coutinho? They spent 75 on Van Dijk and 65 on Edison. So the two players cost them 35 million.
But sorry, you got to make that jump, though, haven't you?
I agree with you.
You've got to do that at some point, haven't you?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I agree with you. But the problem is,
a platform to work on.
And then they followed that up the summer after buying Qatar. I can't remember the list of players they bought, and then they went up winning the title.
The main difference between Liverpool and us is that Liverpool act like a big club,
and they're brave as well.
And we don't.
In the transfer market,
and we don't.
Guys,
we never do.
Questions, yeah. Let's do.
Oh, all right, go on.
Yeah.
Mark, the difference between Spurs and Liverpool,
right,
is that Liverpool are an elite club. We're a
yeah.
We're still a big club. Not many clubs could go to Wembley. Not many clubs could go to Wembley and get 85,000 from Monaco in the Champions League.
I said that we don't act like a big club. I'm not sure if there's something wrong with my finger. But I said that we act like a big club. We don't act like a big club. Sorry, no, we never have done.
Right, who wants to take the question first?
I'll take it.
I'll take it if you like. Oh, go on, Az. What is Ange Ball to? What is
I
Ange
don't like my answer, but ultra attacking and no defensive drills.
That's it, is it?
Yeah.
Are we going to go round and so we can all
we'll go round. Phil, what's your take? What is Ange Ball to you? What is it tactically? If you're into that sort of thing.
Very possession based, very gung ho attacking. Can work with Van der Vaart wingers, but if we don't have that, it's not going to work.
Alan, you haven't spoken for ages, mate. You're
I've just been listening. It's fine. Ange Ball to me, the best that I could tell is it's kamikaze attacking football, very high line. You're going to see it sacrificing a couple of goals a game because we are so high line is the norm. We just have to pretty much outscore our opponent every single time. It's got to be more than just 1-0. It's going to be 2, 3, 4 because of it is so attacking. And in case we're found out and they play like Newcastle did today, where they kind of just kick the ball all the way deep into our side and score poachers goals, which is going to happen with a defensive high line.
Soren, what is Ange Ball to you?
I think the best word that describes Ange Ball is Vindaloo. We're going to score one more than you. The problem is we're just not. I think everybody's kind of said the exact thing that kind of describes Ange Ball. It's possession-based football, which hopefully then means the opposition don't have the ball enough to come and score against us. The problem is we can't defend, or we defend poorly because we're such high line. To me, and I know a lot of people disagree with this part of it, but I think Ange Ball is entertainment with possession and hopefully scoring one more goal than the opposition. The problem is it's not working.
Ian, what's Ange Ball?
I think what Ange thinks is Ange Ball. I'm not saying we play it, but I think what Ange would like the players to take on board is high risk, high intensity, and fluid movements.
Yeah.
Mark, what's Ange Ball?
Absolutely suicidal. No, it is. It's like two at the back, 9 men up the pitch, including the fullbacks, which is absolute craziness. And
as well, Mark.
It may have succeeded in Scotland, but Scotland isn't the Premiership, I'm afraid. And I can't see it working in this league because there's too many good teams and there's too many teams that are better than us that are going to.
Mark, tactically, what do you think Ange Ball stands for?
Oh, it's all out attack. It's gung ho. It's like keep two on the halfway line and have the other and have the other 7 or 8, hang on, 2, 8, have the other 8 in the opposing penalty area or around that area. And then when we lose the ball, we're vulnerable.
When I watch it, it's like watching. I play 5-a-side, right, almost every week, and the way it goes is, one team scores, and another team scores straight away. It's like that.
Yeah,
that's how it feels like.
Yeah. But unfortunately, in the Premiership,
you can't
it's been found out already. And if he doesn't adapt, I fear for him. I don't want him to. Believe me, I know I've been saying on there like he's not going to succeed. I don't want him to get sacked, because how many more bloody managers are we going to have? We've had 16 in 20 odd years. I don't want him to get sacked, but we all know what Mr. Levy's like. And if we're 10th at Christmas, the finger's going to be on the trigger and it's going to be itchy.
I think Ange throws these defenders under the bus. I think the defenders get a lot of slack. I think they're. Yeah. I think this is the best back line we've had since.
Of course it is. Toby and that. Yeah, it is.
Because of the system, the way he plays, it actually throws them under the bus and looks worse than what they actually are.
Yeah, it's suicidal.
I think it is a solid back 5.
Can you imagine Conte? Can you imagine Conte with Conte's system with this defence?
I'm gonna kind of put an alternate argument in here, and I know I do this regular, Mark. I kind of agree with what everyone's saying, that it is the best defence that we've had for a long time. But I don't think Van de Ven, and this is my opinion, I'm probably wrong, I don't think Van de Ven is as good a defender in his own box rather than that sprint back and tackling the player. He is so strong at running back and stopping the attacks like that. But if you watch him when it's in his own penalty box, he's quite fumbly. He's not as elegant. He's not and that's where Romero then comes into his thing. When he's on form, he is the player at the back.
I'll disagree, Simon, but I think the 2 centre backs that we have, Romero, I mean, to a certain extent, Dragusin as well, but I think they complement each other well. They're totally different centre backs.
In the system we're playing, I think you're spot on. There isn't a better pairing that we could have. What I'm saying is, though, with the Conte system that plays further back, I don't know if Van de Ven would be as good as what he is in this system. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Oh, can I answer this one?
Yeah.
Conte and Jose played a low block because aside from Romero, they had nobody else.
Yeah.
Finished. Conte won the league with Chelsea and Juventus, and both teams scored over 90 goals those seasons.
I mean, they beat us to the title in his first season.
That's right. Absolutely. Scored over 90 goals, I think. 80, 90. And when you look at the players that we have, for me, Dragusin has got different strengths to Romero, who has different strengths to Van de Ven.
Yeah.
This is the perfect team for Conte. Perfect. Yeah. You've got Oro and Udogie as wing backs. Would be with the 3 at the back. Would be absolutely superb, and that will be a great basis for someone like Conte to come in and take on. What I don't understand is that you pick the players that suit the system, rather than give them a system that might not be suitable for the players you've got. And I think that if you work with the players you've got and their strengths, and it's funny actually, someone many years ago gave me career advice, and I said, "What do you think?" And they just said, "Work to your strengths." And I think that if he worked to the players' strengths, I think we would be a lot better. I think we'd have been 10 points better off, possibly, maybe. Having said that, Dragusin came in at Christmas, so maybe 5 or 6, 7 points better off. We'd have hit top 4 if he'd have played 3 at the back. We wouldn't have been swamped. We wouldn't have been swamped on both wings like we were. We let 4 in at Newcastle, 4 at Liverpool. We let 4 in at Brighton. We got smashed. It was lucky it was only 3 at Fulham. We were getting buried in away games last season from Christmas onwards. And I think if he'd have If he'd have adapted, not so much Brighton because Dragerson wasn't there, but later on, if he'd have played three at the back with the wing backs, I think would have been far more solid. I do think that the two at the back will do for him job-wise. I think that will kill him in the end, because I think teams have worked this out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but you look at the defenders that we've got now, and the defenders that we had. Take Romero out. And for me, Van der Ven, Udogie and Porro are different class to Emerson, Davis, Longley, Dyer, Sanchez, Tanganga for the odd game. And we only conceded, I think we only conceded 2 goals less than we did the previous year. Yeah. So for me, that's an anomaly. That shouldn't be happening. You know, for a team that plays and is set up in a more, what's the words? A more conservative way, more traditional way, more orthodox way. It's probably the right word I'm trying to think of. You would think that 63 goals the previous year would translate itself down to maybe 45, you know, with a difference in defenders, but it didn't. We're 2 goals better off than with Dyer and Sanchez at the back. I mean, it's just down to the system. I think it's down to the system. I think the system makes players look worse than they are. I think the results are worse than they are. I think, yeah, obviously it's a results business, and we're all influenced by results. I think, you know, if we'd have carried on at 1-1 and won, instead of conceding that goal, score 1 goal, 2 goal swing today, everybody would be sitting here saying, what a great result. We've gone to St James's Park after being battered twice. We battered them for most of the second half.
Ian, I would have stuck my hand up for a draw, but I think part of his problem, Ange's problem, also is in-game management. He doesn't know whether to tell the direct players to drop off a bit or to slow the tempo.
Well, he won't do that, will he?
Tell you where I see Ange Ball, right?
Can I just quickly come back to Ian on that, though, before you do? Sorry, Adrian. I agree with everything you've just said, but the question I have, so under Conte, we played with the back 3 and 2 in the middle, and we were overrunning in the middle of midfield. Now, in theory, the argument is that we play with the back 2 and we're more stronger in midfield because we've got the extra player in. So if we bring the player out of midfield to put into the defence, then our midfield gets overrun again.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
The players we've got, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if we then got a number 6 or whatever, it's a different game.
I'll tell you the way I see it. I'll tell you the way I see it, right? And that's from being at the ground, looking down on the team when they're playing it, right? The reason he plays the 2 wide wingers is not because and wants the likes of Werner and Johnson, it's because they're wide and hold the touchline. That doesn't mean they stay there, right? And like with the 2 inverted fullbacks, right? One, that isn't quite, they ain't inverting like a lot of people are saying, because Porro's inverted, but Udogie isn't. He's going up and down in a straight line, basically. He's playing more like a wing back. And in the system in the midfield, what was good when it worked against Everton was that he plays with 2 8s and a 10 mainly. Now, the 2 8s are supposed to share a defensive responsibility of the 6 because you're not going to get that at Maddison. So when they go up and down. So what was good and what might have helped today with the other goal is that Basuma was coming back against Everton and helping out the back 2 centre-backs. Also playing the high line with the 2 at the back. Unlike with the low block, this is what I'm seeing. You can laugh if you don't agree with me, right? With the low block, it resulted in less yellow cards for the likes of Romero and that, because they're going to win. Him and VDV most times, didn't do it today, they're going to win the foot race because they're going to read the game, and therefore under a low block, under Conte and others, Romero was picking up more yellow cards. When's the last time he got a yellow card? Right? He's picking up more yellow cards and all that because he's not having to make so many tackles in a low block or a mid block, right, where he might miss time one and all that. So he's looking much better in this system, and the system suits VDV as well. I wouldn't want to be playing. I mean, you're going to get pushed back during a game. So the other thing is, it's like the link-up play. When Porro's forward as an inverted fullback, he's linking up with the right winger as well and linking up inside to the central, whether it's Maddison, even if it's Decky there. On the other side, we see a bit of it last week against Everton when Maddison, although Odeberg didn't have like an outstanding game, he was okay. Today, he was okay. But what do you expect? But there was link up play. We didn't get that link up play on the right today as much, even though we had a lot of possession with Odeberg. He did go past his man a few times and all that. But we're not a cohesive unit. Last year, like I said, our front three was pants. For the system to work, we've got to score goals, and the midfield wasn't aggressive enough.
Hang on. We scored 70 plus goals last year in the league.
Yeah, but it's the 30-yard big chances we missed that would have got us 30.
No, but we still scored 70-odd goals. The problem with playing inverted fullbacks is that Maddison's got no space. He's suffocated. We're not going to get the best out of Maddison.
You doggy. Yeah, but Maddison, right? He plays central or drifts left. Whenever you see him, you hardly see him go right. He might end up right, but it's rare. He plays like cam or he comes left. It's probably why you doggy stays wide left and doesn't cut in to crowd him out so much. And you've got Odeberg on the left wing. When I'm watching at the stadium, when you get time, because you are magnetically attracted to the ball most of the time during the game, I'm looking to see, when it ain't so frenetic, like our shape and what's going on. And what I'm seeing is, I don't see, this is why I want to see this season. This is what I've been banging on about. I want to see Ange do this for a season to get it really around my head. Because to me, my doggy's an up and down fullback, come like wing back. Porro doesn't cut in. Porro does invert. But your doggy doesn't invert. He doesn't get in Maddison's space.
Oh, he does.
I mean, the amount of times I saw like a line of our midfielders and wing backs on the edge of their area.
Yeah, when they're buzzing around
the edge of their 18-yard box, and we're just passing it side to side.
There you will, but I'm talking progressing it to the penalty area. They don't. Your doggy will be on the left. Now, they all come in and hover in. They all want to close the space around the penalty area because it's proven narrowly, you're nearer the goal anyway, right? So they all want to close the space. That's why Decky always cuts in, But like I said, it proved, your points proved it, because we had 48 incursions into their penalty area today to their 18. So we had 30 more. But
it just looks a bit stifled to me. It just looks a bit stifled. I don't know.
We're not playing the players to the best of their ability.
No, I agree.
At the end of the day, we might have had 48 touches in their penalty area. Today, 14, 18, whatever it was. You just got to look at the final score.
Yeah, well, I know that.
The problem with having them touches, though, Adrian,
because
you could have a million touches in their box.
This is why I want to give the guy the season. He didn't have a fair
season last season.
Adrian, the problem with the
season last season. He had all them injuries, suspensions, and all that. And he got us fifth without Harry Kane. He's the problem given the whole of this season.
Adrian, the problem with the system, and like today where we had so many touches, is when you've got those inverted players coming in, you've got your wingers coming in, you've got your striker. Everybody's suddenly concentrated in the opposition's box. Doesn't matter how many touches you have if it's not a productive. Now, yeah, we had 9 shots on target, but there weren't exactly real clear goal scoring opportunities. There was a couple.
I can't remember one. I cannot remember one clear cut chance that we had, and the only goal we scored was a bloody own goal.
Oh, that was going in. It was going in, Mark.
Well, all right.
Going in.
Yeah, all right.
The thing with that is when you score an own goal, that you've got to have put enough pressure on to make that happen. So it's inevitable at some points that you will score own goals because of the amount of attacking that we do. The problem is that if you run in and you touch the ball 2 or 3 times, but there's no shot at the end of it, it doesn't matter how many touches you've had in the opposition. You can have one touch and score.
Yeah, I just want to speak about what Adrian said about Ange staying here until the end of the season. I think at the end of the day, Levy's backed into a corner where he has to stay. He's come out and said, we've got our Tottenham back. He's put himself in an impossible situation where he needs to give him a lot of time. To be honest,
I can see it happening before, but I don't think Ange will be gone. I think he'll last the season because Levy's put so much pressure on himself. And he's kind of come out, and if we've gone for buying these kids for the future, then it will be absolutely suicidal to get rid of the manager that we're backing to be the future of the
right,
this
on that,
team.
the second starred question was, right? Oops. Do you think Ange will still be in charge? So we'll do this, right? Phil, do you think Ange will still be in charge at Spurs come January?
Yes.
That's it? Just yes?
Do I need to expand on it? I think
that's a very marked answer, as it happened.
I think he will be. I think he will be. I think he needs to.
No, why?
Why?
Give us a reason.
Because I think he is ill because Levy has to give him that time to prove himself. That he can be a success at Tottenham Hotspur. Levy obviously thinks he's confident enough to have a manager at this club and say that we've got our Tottenham back, right? So I think he will give him the time needed. It's just whether Ange's system will be consistently, good for Tottenham Hotspur.
Do you think Ange will still be in charge at January? Okay, why?
I just think by Christmas we'll be in trouble and Levy will sack him.
Mm-hmm. Alan?
I think he will be here. It's an untenable role, in my opinion, being the manager of Tottenham Hotspur. I think you have an owner that is kind of, I think, regardless of how you feel about him, he can be difficult to work with. Kind of frustrating. I mean, every owner is kind of frustrating, but I think Daniel Levy can be extra frustrating, regardless of how, because I think he's a great businessman. I just think that he may be a very difficult man to work with. I think Ange ticks the boxes that Levy wants out of a manager, charismatic. I think the boys are behind him and probably won't grumble the way like Conte or Poch did when Poch got no signings or got few signings, or when Conte didn't get the signings he wanted or very few signings, kind of grumble and we'll talk to the press about that. Ange would never do that. So I think he kind of fits everything Levy needs out of a manager. And to sack him, if you look at it just from transactional and a business standpoint, it would be very difficult to fill his shoes again with someone that comes close to what Ange provides Levy and the team. So I just don't see him sacking Ange, even if it is just purely transactional and business wise.
Okay. Yeah. Soren, I'll come to you. I'll add something to it because this is part of my thinking. While I think he won't be going anywhere, even if the league goes well, I just see us having runs in the cup and they take you past January, but especially the Europa League. If once the last game of that is January, I just see us. I just don't see us. I mean, I can't predict it. Obviously, it's just the way I think, looking at the group and stages and all that. I think the reason he would stay, even if we were piss poor halfway up the league come January, I just think that. Do you think? Are you? What's your thoughts on cups as well as league position regarding Ange's tenure?
It's a big factor into it. It's definitely a big factor into it. I mean, it's what the club expects, I suppose. What Levy sort of expects, Ange to do. I'm sure they've had this talk before he's come into the club. Do you know what I mean? They must have had this talk about expectations. What we expect and what the club expect could be totally different. We expect us to win trophies. We're not to. I think this club sort of been a long time since we've had a trophy at the end of the day. And, you know, I don't think we should be waiting this long for a trophy. It's before.
Neither do I. Neither do any of us, I don't think.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're not entitled to winning trophies. There's a lot of good teams in this league and in Europe. But I expect us to at least sort of compete to a certain level of trying to win trophies. But that seems a little bit far away at the moment. So, but we'll just have to see how far we get into these competitions. As you say, the cups will be a big factor in his tenure at the club.
I'll add a caveat to it, Soren, before you have a chance to answer the question, right? Because this is to do with my thinking. Because I don't like to give people trick questions. I always like to be open and honest with you guys. You know that. But I actually think because the interest we pay on what debt we got is so low and we could manage that debt, I know that top four gets us a lot more money in the European League. I just think now that we've had the big clear out with players and got all that money for the wages bill, I don't think top four is the be-all and end-all in Levy's head at the moment. He would want it, but I don't think it is. I was reading the other day a report by Kieran Maguire's where I get most of my financial, because he lectures on football finance at Liverpool University. He's a Brighton fan, for those that don't know in the chat. And he knows his stuff, obviously. And I just think the club has, forget about the 600 million we still owe in the stadium and the 300 million we owe in wages and agents' fees and transfer fees, right, which is amortized over 5 years. Like, I'm just of the thinking, like, this isn't so crucial. I think Levy knows he's between a rock and a hard place now. After the last three managers, he would be under severe pressure. It would suit people with a different agenda for everything to go wrong, so they might squeeze him out. But to be perfectly honest with you guys, our fan base are nowhere near, right, as strong in any anti-boardroom feeling as the Newcastle fan base were. And they had proper demonstrations up there, or Man United, and they had proper demonstrations for years when Ashley was up there. They boycotted matches. They did much more than, I'm not knocking Brian Daigle. I like the guy, right? He's very straight and open and honest, right? I like him.
Arsenal did the same.
But they couldn't get rid of Ashley. Ashley went when he sold the club. So we're a little bit off track here, but coming back to the cup competitions, the club's financial situation, I mean, Ange's going nowhere this season, is he?
I think you've got to look at it in a couple of different ways.
Well, let's reword it, make it a bit more tougher. Yeah, because it's you, right?
Yeah.
I know you think I'm picking on you, right? On what grounds what do you think it would take for Ange to be sacked?
I was going to say that if you'd have given me it. Right, so I don't think Ange will be gone. On the premises of, as long as he keeps showing that there could be progress. The problem is, yes, we're losing games, and I get that, and that's not progress. But as long as we don't revert back to like under Conte and under Ange last season, where we went into games and we just did not show up. As long as the team is showing up and we're looking as though that it could improve, don't see how Levy can possibly get rid of him. He's given him a 4-year contract. He's bought him young players, which I know Mark don't agree with me on this, is for the future, as in going forward, whether it includes this season or next season. But how do you get rid of a manager after getting rid of so many managers in the past so quickly, so easily? You've gone down the win now route. You've gone down the building. You've got to give a manager a chance. Now is the time. If ever Levy has done anything right, he's got to give Ange Postecoglou the time to do his job now. If we're sat in 17th position and we can't score a goal and we can't win and the football is dire, then it's a different story. You struggle to then say we've got to keep this manager because it's showing that it's not working. But as long as there is some positivity within the team, don't see how he can. And like you said, Adrian, I don't necessarily think fourth place is as big a
as it has been.
must-have this year as what it maybe has been on the last years. That said, if we go out in round one in the League Cup, round one or our round one in the League Cup, FA Cup, we don't make it through in Europe, and we are dreadful in the league, I can see him gone. But I don't think he will.
Been a good, passionate show, guys. Ian, your take on whether you think what would it take for Ange to go, or do you think he would go?
Right, I think he'll stay for the following 5 reasons.
Ooh.
Although I believe that this transfer window has been about strengthening, getting wages, getting players off the wage bill, strengthening the balance sheet because he's looking for investment, because part of the deal with Haringey Council was to do with the regeneration of the area. That's where the hotel comes in, and they need the money for that, and also for the NFL at White Webbs Park. They build an NFL pitch, etc. Another football pitch for the ladies team there. I think that the transfer strategy has been to bring in top kids to build for the future. So I think that's number one. I think then he's looking with Ange to the future. Not saying long-term future. You know, for me, 12 months' time, I think there'll be a big difference in the way a lot of kids have come through. That's number one. Number two, I think he needs stability at the club. It's chop and change. You know, managers are coming in and they're picking, and they've got a squad full of 6 different managers' players. So how are you actually going to build something sustainable when you keep changing managers? You've got players with differing abilities who suit different styles. It's never going to work. 3, I think the backing that he's given him since he joined, not talking about this transfer window particularly, but since he joined, is a reason. I think that while he's in the Europa League, you've got a very good chance of the Champions League. So come the end of January, I could see us finishing top or second. Possibly, you know, I don't see us losing a game apart from Galatasaray, possibly. And the last point, which I think is very relevant, and one of the guys mentioned just now, if he gets rid of Ange, where does he go from there? He's tried so many different managers.
Ryan Mason.
And
Southgate.
And, right, but managers can see. Managers are not stupid. They all talk to each
Ryan
other.
Mason, Ian.
No, forget Mason. Forget Mason. He's not going to be manager at Spurs. What's decent? What top manager would take the job?
No one.
Exactly. We've had Conte, we've had Mourinho, we've had Redknapp, we've had Yole, we've had Oddle, we've had It started with Graham, didn't we? With the stuff, who was a winner. Nobody has been backed.
It would have to be someone of you know, like the Brighton,
or
like a younger manager,
that, wouldn't it? Yeah.
They're not joining. They're not joining. Nagelsmann didn't join. He didn't take the job.
Yeah,
they don't join.
I like us to.
Slot didn't take it.
Brighton,
I don't think we're going to have to worry about that for another season anyway.
No, I don't either. And I think he will keep Ange. If he's there, as I say, if he's there or thereabouts, top 4. You know, when you've got a stadium like we've got, changes the whole dynamic. You've got to be in the game. You know, Levy's part of the committee with chairman in Europe. You know, he's got a prestigious position. Spurs can't afford to be out of the top table for too long. They've got to be there or thereabouts. You know, he's got to be bringing Champions League football in. You know, it's not like we've got 36,000 and this and that. The pressure's on. You know, you've got to keep. It's a big beast. We've got a lot of money to find over the next 20 odd years. And a debt is sustainable if you've got the money coming in. Yeah. And it's all very well saying, okay, we're going to get 30. We've got 30 different events now at the grounds. We've got NFL, we've got rugby league, we've got rugby union, we've got boxing, we've got concerts. But at the end of the day, the whole thing is underpinned by the football side.
Mm.
And if the football side goes south, and all of a sudden you've got 30, 40,000 coming in the grounds.
What I will say
just before you come back, Phil, and I go to Mark.
Yeah, go on.
Has you mentioned Chelsea earlier, didn't you?
Chelsea.
Yeah, I forgot to do this.
Fair props to the young lady.
I lost my train of thought then.
Okay,
But,
fine.
but to be honest, Adrian,
what we have done.
to be honest, Adrian, I think you're going to have to put another one with Tottenham get battered everywhere they go.
All right. We're not doing that, but we have some of those because
what I was going to say,
whenever they mention some of our local rivals, right, we've got a little clips we play for a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't overdo them because we know the chat channel will get a bit facetious and they'll be mentioning the other teams all the time. You know what I mean? I mean, like, do you think we're going through, their fans are going through a bit of phase? Mark, answer the question. We'll have a little round robin for like how long you want to carry on for, another 15, half hour, whatever it is. We'll go around you guys.
I was just going to quickly, sorry, Mark, to butt in. I was just going to quickly say, if Ange gets top 4 this season with his squad, and if he somehow gets to a cup final or maybe wins a cup, then I would tie him down. I would tie him down for another year or two.
Yeah.
If he actually does do that.
He's with us for 4 years anyway.
Yeah, I know, but him doing that would be some achievement if he actually wins a trophy this season, especially with top 4 as well, maybe even third. Then I would tie him down for another year onto his contract.
We get to the League Cup final and Archie Gray scores a header for the winner. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Against who, Soren?
Yeah.
There'd be no one cheering louder than me if that happened.
Anyway, let's have your opinion, Mark.
Do you think, Mark, do you think Ange will survive the season?
Personally, I hope so, because as I mentioned earlier, I don't want us to have, what would this be, manager number 24 if we get another one.
16.
In 3 seasons.
Well, whatever it is. But, like, you know, I mean, we've got to stand by somebody. Like, and I hope he does succeed. But playing this suicide stuff that's been going on the first 3 games, you know, if only the man would tweak it, just tweak it a little bit, not have both fullbacks inverting and doing all that nonsense, where one pass and we just concede. That's all it takes. That's all it takes is just one pass, and they're through us like a knife through butter, and they score. You know, it happens all the time. But right. Anyway, so
I agree with you, but just quickly, the one thing that would offset tweaking anything is if we started putting our chances away.
Well, yes, but
away, you don't need to tweak anything.
Against better teams will concede more goals.
Go on, Mark. Finish what you were going to say.
Always going to lose against somebody in the season. So
yes, you are.
If we put more of our chances away,
try and prevent it.
Yeah, but if we're going to put more of our chances away, we're going to win more teams than we lose against. That's the argument. Yes.
But being so exposed at the back, where one pass cuts us wide open, is unacceptable, in my opinion.
It's too predictable.
I agree with you. Yeah,
it is. It's too predictable, right? Now, I don't want him to be sacked, but I fear that if he carries on the way we are with this suicide nonsense that's going on at the moment, that we all know what Mr. Levy's like. Now, I'm his biggest critic. We all know where I stand on Mr. Levy. Now, if we're 10th at Christmas, and it's obvious that we got no chance of top 4, because let's face it, Daniel's only interested in the top 4. He's not interested in us winning anything. He never has been. Because as soon as we get top 4, that's when the funds stop coming in to buy in players. And you think, oh, well, that'll do. That'll do. Like when Poch got his regular Champions League finishes, the funds dried up and we weren't improving the team, and the team was going stale, and it had its cycle. Right? Now, I want Ange to be here, but if we're 10th at Christmas and there's no chance of us getting top 4, we all know Daniel will get itchy fingers on that trigger. I don't want him to, but if he does, this is where the Levite lot come out again.
Do you think
and if I go to
what Arteta went through with Arsenal? Well, I said the word.
Well, yeah.
Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go.
Sorry, Mark, carry on.
No. What I said, I'd virtually finished anyway. I don't want him sacked. I want him to succeed. But we all know what Mr. Levy's like. If we're struggling, we got no hope of Champions League, because we all know that's all he's interested in. He just wants Champions League money to keep flooding in, as well as everything else on
guys,
top.
No pressure on the North London derby then, yeah?
But, yeah.
What about
He's going to be in trouble, I think.
It's going to be.
I think there's more chance of 6th or 7th place, maybe 8th, and a Europa League win.
Yeah.
I don't think we win Europa League. We don't have
on what you said, though, Mark, just a thought coming to my head, a mad thought. If we're like 8th or 10th at Christmas, do we go all out for the cups?
I'd like to think so, but Daniel's thinking is he only wants Champions League to get that money in.
But you can get that with Europa, Mark.
I know you can. I know you can, but Daniel, well, yeah, but that's an even bigger risk, thinking that we're going to win the Europa League instead of getting 4th. If we're mid-table,
I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Levy accepts European football, not the thingy league thing, but the European Europa Cup. I think he'll accept that this year, and say finishing 5th or 6th and a good cup run and things like that. I don't think there is quite as much emphasis on top 4 this year. I think he'll have that little bit of a leeway. But I agree with what you say, that it's the Champions League money that is important.
Dictates something else. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It is that the history tells us something else, because as soon as we got no hope of Champions League, then the trigger's pulled and another manager comes wandering along the high road.
We're already in one cup final, aren't we? Because we got to play West Ham. Oops.
Yeah, right. Chris Peters has put comment in. Does the FA Cup get you Europe still? The Europa League, and that won't satisfy Daniel, because he wants Champions League. He wants all that money rolling in. Because all right, the Europa League brings money in, but it's nowhere near what the Champions League brings in.
I think it's
that's
also
mental money.
Enhancing our
I do believe that this year we will have the leeway, but I do think if he's here to the end of this year, we go into next year, nothing less than top 4 will do. Nothing less.
It just seems like there's the expectation. How high could it be with the transfer window we had?
Exactly.
With buying so many young players, and then to expect.
Oh, but Daniel will still expect both. Daniel will expect both. He will do. We all know what he's like.
I get where you come from on history and all this lot, but look, if you look at the way the club is compared to how it's been in years past, there is so much difference in how it's structured, how it's been perceived. Hey?
How is it different?
You can't tell me that we haven't got a better structure within the club now. Pardon?
With hopes for the future, we always sign young players. We're doing the same thing this summer. He'll still expect top 4. He dropped 65 million on Solanke. He'll be thinking, oh, here's your striker you wanted, Ange. Go and get Champions League for me.
Well, Ange's put a big expectation on himself with saying that
about the title.
he wants to challenge this season. So,
no, I think when you go back to that statement, it was. I don't. If you read it in its entirety, he didn't say we will challenge for the title next year. What he was trying to say,
he will. Yeah.
It was. I'd like to be challenging. Now, every manager must say, I'd like to be challenging for. You can't come out and say, yeah.
But he said in 12 months,
like, that would be good enough.
Or in like a few years. He said literally in 12 months.
Yeah, I'd like to be. There's a difference between saying I'd like to be.
I've been supporting Spurs like 20 plus years. I can remember obviously because I'm like 30 something. But I never remember a manager coming out and saying in 12 months I hope to be in the title race. I've never heard that in my life from any manager.
Especially with the squad he's got now. I mean, how can that come into his head with the squad that he's got now?
What was he thinking?
Maybe he's thinking that like the season after, maybe if he's got two transfer windows to sort of, bolster up his squad. But this season, talking about challenging is a bit far fetched.
You've got to put into the context of the whole conversation he was having. I mean, it's like him saying, "Well, the question wasn't, are you going to win the league next year?" Yes,
no, they didn't ask him next year. They asked him about the aims. I think that's what the question was.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it's like anything. It's like when he said he wanted to finish top 4, and he kind of came out and said, "No, I want to be challenging." That doesn't mean to say he's expecting to be challenging.
I do like the ambition from him.
Exactly.
I mean, the ambition for him to say that. It's just a shame that owners don't sort of meet in the middle with him as well.
I mean, can you imagine the meltdown if he'd have come out and said, "Now we're going to finish top 10 at best"?
But Conte was saying it 6th, 7th, 8th. Take your pick. I didn't have a meltdown.
Yeah,
He's probably right.
But we were nobody was happy with thinking we weren't going to finish in European. I mean, I know some people didn't want European because they want us to play 1 game a week. But the thing is, you can't, as a manager, come into a club, especially one that want to win. That as a fan base we expect to think we're entitled to win all the competitions we're in, and then suddenly have your manager sat there saying, "Do you know what? Yeah, realistically, we're not going to win anything for another 10 years. So let's give up now." I mean, we'd shoot him.
But then people didn't like it when Conte was really honest about the club.
There was a difference between being honest and telling everybody that everything was everybody else's fault, and he was the angel.
20 years the owner, 1 trophy, different managers. Different manager won't change anything. That's what he said.
Do we not think? Soren, Conte got it spot on with that rant.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
I think the biggest problem with the rant is, and I agree with what he came out with, kind of was the right things to say. I don't necessarily agree that he should have come out and said it like he did. I think.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? How do you, Soren? How do you sugarcoat what Conte said?
You can't. It's just blunt.
I'm saying you sugarcoat it, but when you come out with something like that, that is the end of your tenure.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Now,
but he
wanted to go, didn't he? Let's be fair. That's why he said
he knew what happened. He didn't want to be here in the first place, did he? Come on, let's be honest. He came in. He was doing us a big favour coming into our club. The club wasn't ready for Antonio Conte. He's.
But then, Soren, ask you a question.
He's a manager that has won everything. I get it. But he's won it with teams that have been on the brink of being there. He's never built a squad to go and win.
It never fitted. It never fitted.
No, he never fitted this team. He was the wrong manager.
For him to come out and say what he said was 100% right. At the end of the day, that's what the owners should be exposed. If a manager's saying that he knows how the club is running, they need to be exposed like that. at the end of the day.
We could finish 6, 7,
all
8.
gone wrong. It had all gone wrong at that point with Conte. He wasn't winning anything. He wasn't doing the job that we hoped he would do.
Well,
now,
whether that's
the team because it wasn't good enough or whatever, but professionally, it was suicide to come out and do what he did. Now, I'm not saying that he was wrong in the words he was saying because we all agreed.
He was gone anyway. Sorry.
It was just the way he did it. It was.
Sorry, when you've had Agnelli and Abramovich as bosses, who are power crazy and want success in everything they do, and then you walk into the mentality at Tottenham.
Yeah, it's like one extreme to the other, isn't it? Ian? One extreme to the other.
Glory. He just looked at it and thought, you know what? I'm just wasting my time. Yeah. And if you think back to Amsterdam, and if you think about the emotional interview that Pochettino had after the match, right, he was in tears, and it was down to, I think, a couple of things. Firstly, look what I've done without backing, and look what I could have done. Look what I could have done with backing, and this has just slapped the guts out of me. And that's what.
We were not picked for the final anyway.
And
Conte, as the manager he was, you didn't think he was going to get back to the way he wanted at Tottenham Hotspur.
Nobody gets back at Tottenham Hotspur the way they want.
This is what I'm saying. What was the point in bringing a manager like Antonio Conte, who literally would have had to have had hundreds of millions of pounds chucked at him at this squad? I mean, it would have been a totally different. It would have been.
Actually, Conte said he wanted 2 to 3, 60, 70 million pounds.
He needed more than 2 to 3. He needed more than 2 to 3.
Right. Okay, guys, I'm going to end the show. Yeah, we can carry on this in the chat in the back room after I play a nice piece. I want to thank all the guests for coming on. You know who you are. I want to thank everyone in the chat for their comments and following us. Please subscribe if you like the show. You know, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. I mean, it's been a very good show, a lot of passion, which is what we want. You're all well-intentioned fans, whether you agree with each other or not. You are in the chat as well, I know that. So thanks to everyone again. I'm going to play you out with this fantastic piece, and then I'll see you in the back room.